Hello, all of you folks as well. John is here. John got delayed. John had sushi arrive a little bit late, so John is going to be eating while we're all hanging out here. With my little special towels. Oh, wait, can you hear me now? There we go. I had the mic pulled away. Well, try it now. Let me Oop. All right. 1 second. Yep, I just did that. How about now? Sorry, the folks weren't hearing me on TikTok. There we go. There we go. Although I may unplug anyway so you guys can hear the background on CNN. We'll have to see about that. What, it went away again? All right, let's just unplug it. I'll just have it be the ambient microphone for you guys. For you all, you can hear me, right? Sorry, you guys can hear me on YouTube and everywhere else? I've got CNN on. Yeah, I just unplugged it for you TikTokers, so at least now you got the microphone on the bottom, which works. So, oh, all right, guys. Weird, interesting. Yeah, the TikTok one wasn't working, but the other one was working, which is really weird. Who knows? Unless it unplugged a little. Always possible it unplugged a little. In your journalism class. Oh, that's interesting. Hey, Thomas. Oh, very interesting. Could be a long hearing. We'll see how long this goes, guys. You know, previously they were a good 2-3 hours, so hopefully there is background audio because you are hearing my CNN in the background. Thank you for the origami. And I'm going to rudely eat in front of you guys because it's always, I know TikTok is always the one being a little iffy there. But yes, I'm going to rudely, thank you for the origami. I'm going to rudely eat in front of you guys and the cactus. Since Damien is visiting too, he's eating as well. But just got my food a minute ago, so. But yes, it's always TikTok, always TikTok. But yeah, I put up a poll up for you TikTokers as well, just for fun. Now, this is my setup is the other way. Normally I'm facing. Normally you see my TV in the background. I turned it around so I can watch the TV and you've got my kitchen on TikTok and you guys as well. So, Ooh. This is my favorite sushi is salmon with avocado in there. Oh man. Oh. Hello, Romania. Saluti. Oh, cool, Macro. That's nice. Nice to hear. It starts in literally now. They're waiting for the committee to actually officially start the hearing, but it starts right now. This is my work. And I'm able to keep doing this work by you guys sending TikTok gifts and super chat questions or super stickers. That's what they're called. So there. Raw fish. I know, but you know, I like it. And fish in minor quantities is good for you. We're waiting for thank you on TikTok for that. We're waiting for the chairman of the committee to officially start the hearing. I don't know. I mean, thank you for the origami, the paper. I will say, Sasha, what are you doing? Hey. No, I thought you got something. Okay. Oh, my glasses. Oh, your glasses. That's why. All right. You know, let's see what happens today. I mean, the previous hearings, honestly, I've been a little underwhelmed, and maybe it's because I follow this stuff for a living, you know, but CNN is an excellent news station. I know you guys get a lot of propaganda thrown at you, and folks, frankly, lie to you about what's going on out there. CNN's a very good news station. And unfortunately, over the years, the Republican Party, at least where it is now, they basically had to cast CNN and the other real news stations as being illegitimate because otherwise they'd be held responsible, which is what we're seeing right now with January 6th. If you don't want to be held responsible, you say everything's a lie and everything's fake news. So, what do you do? The coffee chat is happening on Saturday. This coming Saturday for $25 and up subscribers. We're going to hang out. We're going to hang out and talk. Whatever folks want to talk about. If anybody shows up, 2 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday on the Discord. The committee just came in, so they're about to start. Good hair day. I know my hair does whatever it wants every day. Glad to hear it's good today. Yeah, you don't have to subscribe to the Discord, but if you do, it's nice because it helps me out. All right, here we go. They're starting. We're watching the January 6th hearing about the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. This is the latest hearing, maybe the last hearing. We'll see.
4 months ago, this committee started to present our findings to you, the American people. From the beginning, we understood that some people watching those
but let's listen.
would wrongly assume that the committee's investigation.
I may or may not do a report at 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight, and it depends how long this goes.
Was skeptical of our work, but simply to listen to the evidence. Speak for themselves before reaching
Right. Stop. It's like you are like catching a fish. I swear to God. Hey, everybody, this is Sasha. She saw me go down to pick her up, and she knew what was coming, and she ran. And I got her anyway. All right? I'm putting it down. Don't look away from me. Look away from me. Yeah. All right. Too funny. Yeah.
2020 election,
All right.
and he lost in court.
All right. I'm putting my sushi in the fridge until later. Oops.
What Donald Trump proceeded to do after the 2020 election is something no president has done before in our country. In a staggering betrayal of his own.
Cappuccino time. Cappuccino time.
How do we know this? How have we been able to present such a clear picture? Because of the testimony we've heard and that we have presented to you through these proceedings. Because of the documentary evidence we gathered and also made available directly to you, the American people. When you look back at what has come out through this committee's work, the most striking fact is that all this evidence comes almost entirely from Republicans.
That's interesting. That's a very interesting point. He just said most of the evidence that they're reporting is coming from Republicans, which is very interesting and very true. But it's an interesting point. If it's all a lie, then why is it Republicans lying about Republicans?
Republican state officials and legislators, Republican electors, the chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, political professionals who work.
Leona, we're good on the stoves, but I appreciate you doing that. But we've got like almost $9,000, so we're good. We'll have another fundraiser or something else.
President Trump's staff and closest advisors in the White House, members of the President Trump's family, his own White House counsel. I've served in Congress a long time. I can tell you it's tough for any congressional investigation to obtain evidence like what we received. Least of all, such a detailed view into a president's inner circle. And I want to be clear, not all these witnesses were thrilled to talk to us.
Ginny Thomas.
But ultimately, the vast majority cooperated with our investigation. And And what we've shown you over the last 4 months has been centered on the evidence that has come overwhelmingly from Republican witnesses. So I say to you again, as I did in June, this investigation is not about politics. It's not about party. It's about the facts, plain and simple. And it's about making sure our government functions under the rule of law as our Constitution demands. Today, as in previous proceedings, my colleagues and I will present new evidence. That includes new testimony from additional Republicans who served in the Trump administration. Never before seen footage of congressional leaders on January 6th working to coordinate the response to the violence and the speed of people's business went forward. New materials produced to the committee by details about the ongoing threat to American democracy. Today's proceeding will also be grounded in facts, but it won't look exactly like all our other hearings. We'll also take a step back and look at the evidence in a broader context, providing a summary of key facts we've uncovered. Facts relevant to former President Trump's state of mind, about his motivations, and about his intent. What did President Trump know? What was he told? What was his personal and substantial role in the multi-part plan to overturn the election? For those of you who watched our prior hearings, some of this evidence will look familiar. For those of you tuning in for the first time,
Don't like cigarettes, do like frappes.
and we urge you to go online and watch our hearing in full. As one more difference about today, pursuant to the notice circulated prior to today's proceedings, we are convening today.
I'm not entirely clear that Biden should run, but since somebody asked.
So that in addition to presenting evidence, we can potentially hold a committee vote on further investigative action based upon that evidence. Before we get to that evidence, I recognize our distinguished vice chair, Ms. Cheney of Wyoming, for any opening statement.
Liz. I love Liz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Much has happened since our last public hearing on July 21st. As the chairman mentioned, we received new and voluminous documentation from the Secret Service, which we continue to analyze. We've received new witness testimony, including about efforts to obstruct our investigation.
I'm going to try this one more time.
And according to public reporting, the Department of Justice has been very active in pursuing many of the issues identified in our prior.
I'm trying this again on TikTok. Can you hear?
Our committee may ultimately decide to make a
TikTok, do you hear or not?
referrals to the Department of Justice. But we recognize that our role is not to make decisions regarding.
Yes. Ha. Okay, it's working for the moment.
The preamble to our Constitution recites, among its purposes,
Let's watch Liz.
establish justice. And our nation's judiciary and our U.S. Department of Justice have that responsibility. A key element of this committee's responsibility is to propose reforms to prevent January 6th from ever happening again. We've already proposed, and the House has now passed, a bill to amend the Electoral Count Act to help ensure that no other future plots to overturn an election can succeed. And we will make further specific recommendations in our final report, based in part on the evidence you will hear today. Our hearings last summer began with an outline of President Trump's multi-part plan to overturn the 2020 presidential election. We then proceeded to demonstrate each of these elements in detail, with more than 20 hours of evidence. Today, we will see new evidence, but as the chairman said, we will also synthesize evidence you've seen before. The vast weight of evidence presented so far has shown us that the central cause of January 6th was one man, Donald Trump, whom many others followed. None of this would have happened without him. He was personally and substantially involved in all of it. Exactly how did one man cause all of this?
Liz Cheney, by the way, is one of the most conservative Republicans ever. Certainly one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress, has a voting record that makes me want to puke. So anybody who criticizes her on the right, I always get a chuckle because literally She's like the daughter of Darth Vader, but not in a good way.
As you will see, President Trump had a premeditated plan to declare that the election was fraudulent. and
She's not Leia. Excuse me.
before
I mean,
Election
she is Leia,
Day, before he knew
but not her
the
politics.
results.
Her politics are
He
Darth.
made his stolen election claims on election night against the advice of his campaign without any evidence in hand. Then, over the next 2 months, he sought to find those who would help him invent and spread lies about the widespread fraud. Many of those who stepped forward to help, including Rudy Giuliani, knew they never had real evidence sufficient to change the election results. And on the evening of January 5th, they admitted they were still trying to find that phantom evidence. Of course, as a result of making intentionally false claims of election fraud, Mr. Giuliani's license to practice law has now been suspended.
Oh, wow.
Second, please recognize that President Donald Trump was in a unique position, better informed about the absence of widespread election fraud than almost any other American. President Trump's own campaign experts told him that there was no evidence to support his claims. His own Justice Department appointees investigated the election fraud claims and told him point blank they were false. In mid-December 2020, President Trump's senior advisors told him the time had come to concede the election. Donald Trump knew the courts had ruled against him. He had all of this information, but still he made the conscious choice to claim fraudulently that the election was stolen.
Correct, Melanie.
Officials to change election results, to manufacture fake electoral slates, to attempt to corrupt our
For all the
Department of
Republicans
Justice,
trolling on TikTok,
to send
I've got one
tens of
question for
thousands
you.
of supporters to
How do you
Washington.
feel about Donald Trump
Knowing
lying
that
to
they
you
were angry,
about the election
knowing that
results?
some of them were armed,
He's spent
he sent them
2 years now lying to you and
Then
telling you that he
Simone
actually won and the election was stolen,
he incited
when even his own
dissension
staff that he
over
appointed
violence by
to investigate it
publicly
told
condemning
him
his vice president.
it wasn't stolen. His lawyers told him it
And
wasn't
then he
stolen.
refused
His own
for
attorney
hours to
general told him it
stand
wasn't
by
stolen.
his
I mean,
supporters and instruct
he's
them
lying
to
to you.
be
And I'm just seriously curious because you guys defend him and you get all pissed at us and you get pissed at Liz Cheney. You get pissed at every Republican, every conservative Republican who finally comes out and says the truth. How do you feel about being lied to?
I
gotta tell you, it's not a good look because somebody who knows they're being lied to and just goes along with it is, I don't know, not a good American at the very least. Not a good person, actually, really, either. I just think it's embarrassing. You know? Oh, yeah, now she's talking about Trump's idea to go and seize voting machines with the military in a coup, basically. That would have been pretty. You know? Really? Hillary stole the election and sent a violent crowd to overtake the Capitol? I mean, again, fair enough, but what did Hillary lie about that was such a seriously grave issue? She was pissed in 2016. Not 16, when was it? She was pissed against Obama way back in 2008, you know, and she challenged it for a while, but after it, she gave in and she supported him. She didn't sit there and go like, oh, it was stolen. Now, the crazy, I will say this, some of the crazy Hillary supporters to this day will still get pissed at anybody like me who was for Obama and say, you know, we stole the election. And Bernie, some of the crazy Bernie supporters, but they're literally the crazy Bernie supporters. They're the fringe insanity people who are still pissed to this day. You know, that Bernie didn't win and it was stolen and all of this. It's the same thing with Trump. And I'm happy to say, like, it's the crazy Bernie fringe and the crazy Hillary fringe, although it's a fringe of each of those. Unfortunately, with Trump, it's Trump himself. It's not Bernie and Hillary saying it, but it's Trump himself. And it's every establishment Republican here in Washington, D.C. and around the country. You guys got a problem. You know? It's really not the same on both sides. It's really not. Biden's constantly lying. What did Biden lie about? Seriously. Trump lied. Remember, they counted him. Trump was lying at least 10 times a day. What did Biden lie about? Right? And you may be able to point out one or two. You can't point out 10. And you can't point out lies that led to violence. You can't. It's just not enough to say everybody. First of all, everybody doesn't lie. I don't lie. It's not enough to say every politician lies. They don't all lie. You also have to look at the gravity of it. I don't want any politician lying, but Jesus, you don't do what Trump did. This stuff, he is risking our democracy, and that's not cool.
Dozens of these judges have been addressing
Thank you, Lal Lal, for the gift on TikTok.
Plain, unmistakable warnings about the direction of our republic. Let me read from one judge's statement given at a recent sentencing hearing.
We have one mighty Twitcher with us today. Hello, mighty Twitcher.
Members of Congress and state officials who know perfectly well the claim of fraud was and is untrue.
Oh, hey, Sarah from Birmingham. Nice to see you.
Are so afraid of losing their power, they won't say so. It has to be crystal clear that it is not patriotism. It is not standing up for America. To stand up for one man who knows full well that he lost instead of the Constitution he was trying to subvert. Mr. Chairman, the violence and lawlessness of January 6th was unjustifiable. But our nation cannot only punish the foot soldiers who stormed our Capitol.
Oh, that's interesting, Roshin.
Those who planned to overturn
I did hear
our election and brought us to the
quick
point of
Ukraine
violence
thing.
was
Roshin was
also
saying that the
illegal.
Russians are evacuating Kherson, which is the province in the south where the Ukrainians have been really beating them quite well. And I did hear that the Russian appointed head of the province, because it's occupied by the Russians right now, was telling people to get out, which my guess means that the Russians are going to once again try to use their artillery to just blow up everything that exists on the ground, villages, you name it.
Most people in most places on earth have not been
ASMR. I've made that joke before. Today in Ukraine. Yes, here today in Ukraine. I'll rub my face on the microphone.
Yeah. And more important than any single American who has ever lived. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Without objections, the chair recognizes the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Lawson, for an opening statement.
God, are they all going to do opening statements?
You know, shortly after the election, we began this meeting by returning to election night, November 3rd.
I get why they'd want to, but it's not appropriate. You know? Yeah, so far we had the chairman and the vice chairman, which is fine, right? Cheney's the vice chairman. Chairman is what? Benny Johnson is his name, I think. Thompson. And which is great. They should do statements. But now another Democrat's doing a statement, and that's obnoxious. That's the kind of, I mean, Damien used to work on Capitol Hill as well. I did too. I worked for a Republican. He worked for Barbara Mikulski. And this is the kind of, or no, let's see. Typically, this is the kind of stuff that was usually arrogance, where members demanded they could all speak, whereas the audience is watching and going, okay, I'm bored now. You know, you don't want everyone doing opening statements. That's stupid. Oh, no, she's presenting evidence. She's not doing an opening statement then. Okay. She's not doing an opening statement. They kind of lied.
There's one meeting that was had in particular. I invited Kevin McCarthy to join the meeting. He being of like mind on the issue with me, in which we made our case for why we believed mail-in voting not to be a bad thing. But you know, the president's mind was made up.
So it was expected before the election that the initial counts in some states, in other words, those votes.
It's not clear if they're going to have a witness today, actually. I don't think they are having a witness today. I think today is the Secret Service emails. They're going to review what they've learned to date and some additional information.
But as the results of the absentee ballots were later counted, there could be trends towards Vice President Biden as those mail-in ballots were counted. Now, on election night, Donald Trump's advisors specifically told him he didn't have a factual basis to declare victory. He should wait for the remaining ballots to be counted. Here
Thanks,
is
Magical.
Campaign manager Bill Stepien.
It was far too early to be making any calls.
Oh, that's interesting.
Ballots
Huh.
were still being counted. Ballots were still going to be counted for days. And it was far too early to be making any proclamation with that. I believe my recommendation was to say that votes were still being counted. It's too early to tell. Too early to call the race.
Interesting.
But President Trump did declare victory in the late hours of election night. Not only did he declare victory, he also called for the ongoing count of votes to just stop. Stopping the count would have violated both federal and state laws and also disenfranchised millions of voters who lawfully cast their vote. He called for that action anyway. Here's what he said.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. We won all voting to stop.
I'll bet he wants all voting to stop. Yeah.
The evidence shows that his false victory speech was planned well in advance, before any votes had been counted. It was a premeditated plan by the president to declare victory no matter what the actual result was. He made a plan to stay in office before Election Day. Now, the vice president's staff was concerned with what Donald Trump might do on election night. They took steps to ensure that Mr. Pence would not echo a false victory announcement from President Trump. Here's what the Vice President's counsel, Greg Jacob, told us about his preparations with the Vice President's Chief of Staff, Mark Short.
Mark had indicated to me that there was a possibility that there would be a declaration of victory within the White House that someone pushed for. And this is prior to the election results being known. And that he was trying to figure out a way of avoiding the vice president sort of being thrust into a position of
This is interesting.
needing to opine on that when you might not have sufficient information to do so.
Okay, that's interesting. One of Pence's staffers testified that he was told by Pence's chief of staff that there was a possibility that the Trump people and Trump himself were going to declare victory, even when all the results weren't in. And this was before the election. He was told that before the votes were, before they even knew the results. They were told that. In other words, what this is trying to show is part of a larger conspiracy, that all of this was, and fraud, by the way, that all of this was a fraud, that it was basically based on a lie, that you can't, before the election, know that the election, that you actually won. There's no way to know. Hell, look at Hillary in 2016, right? Everybody knew Hillary was going to win, and she lost. And, you know, even the day of the election, everybody knew Hillary was going to win, even after the Comey stuff. So it shows an element of fraud, which is that they planned it in advance.
And the specifically indicates a plan that only the votes counted by the election day.
That's true too. Meg Wood is saying their polls told them that they would lose.
Everyone knew that ballot counting would lawfully continue past election day. Claiming that the counting on election night must stop before millions of votes were counted was, as we now know, a key part of President Trump's premeditated plan.
Yeah, premeditated plan, exactly.
Just after 5 p.m., Mr. Fitton indicated he'd spoken with the president about the statement. Sending along again, just talk to him about the draft below. Again, this to keep to declare victory was in place before any of the results had been determined. In the course of our investigation, we also interviewed Brad Parscale, President Trump's former campaign manager. He told us he understood that President Trump planned as early as July that he would say he won the election even if he lost. And just a few days before the election, Steve Bannon, a former Trump chief White House strategist and outside advisor to President Trump, spoke to a group of his associates from China and said this.
But if that doesn't mean something, it's just gonna say to the Democrats, more our people vote early to count, theirs voted late. And so they're gonna have a natural disadvantage.
This is incredible.
So we wake up Wednesday,
This is incredible.
it's gonna be a farce.
Steve, they've got Jesus. I didn't see this audio.
By 10, 11 o'clock at night, it's gonna be even crazier.
They've got Steve Bannon talking, of course, to a bunch of visiting Chinese people, because who the hell else would he talk to? Bannon, who was a top Trump aide in the White House, but also ran the campaign for a while. Bannon saying a week before the election that here's what's going to happen. Election night, the Republicans vote early, Democrats vote by mail. So election night, we're going to be ahead. And we're going to declare victory, even if we didn't win, even if we know we didn't win, we're going to declare victory. And the next morning, all the Democratic votes will finally be counted because they're going to count the mail-in ballots overnight. And the next morning, there's a good chance that we won't be ahead anymore. Trump won't be ahead. And then all hell will break loose because we're going to claim the election was stolen, even though all it really was they counted all the votes. Bannon freaking admitted that the week before on audio. Someone recorded it. That is a conspiracy to commit fraud. Also, as I've said before, to any of Republicans listening who are still on board with all of this, he's admitting that he played you. Bannon is admitting that Bannon had a whole plan to lie to you guys. And I'm sorry, that's the stuff that pisses me off. Absolutely pisses me off. I don't know, some Republicans vote by mail. Of course they do, Laura. The point is that generally speaking, more Democrats vote by mail, and generally speaking, more Republicans show up at the actually at the ballot. That's just or at the voting thing.
And sentenced to more than 3 years in prison. He's also a long-time advisor.
But that's what ticks me off is I just don't get how Republicans who are still on board with Trump can listen to this stuff and listen to Bannon basically lay out a whole plot to lie to them and say, oh yeah, we're gonna lie and tell people publicly that Trump won, even if he didn't, and we're gonna trick them with the mail-in ballots. And the next morning, when the mail-in ballots are counted, we're gonna just pretend like, hey, how did the vote change? Oh, I didn't even mention that aspect of it. So the night of the election, the actual ballots at the ballot box come in, and he goes, Trump may be ahead. He goes, but by the next morning, they'll have counted the next morning, overnight, the mail-in ballots, and the Democrats will probably be ahead at that point once we've counted all of the votes. But we're just going to pretend like it wasn't the mail-in ballots. It was just, hey, we won last night when you went to bed. How didn't we win in the morning? They must have stolen something. But admitting that he knows the reason the vote changed or will change is because the ballots will have been counted overnight. But he laid out, we're just going to lie to Trump voters, and we're going to tell them we have no idea how the ballot numbers changed overnight. It must have been stolen. I mean, literally, Steve Bannon, top Trump aide, working with Trump up until, working like this with Trump through the election, laid out an entire plan to lie to Trump voters. I just don't get it. I don't get why more people, I'm sorry, but I'd be pissed if Biden did that, or if Hillary did it, or anybody else. If they had a whole plan on tape to lie to me, I'd be pissed. And I have to say this, by the way, this is why I get pissed at Biden for the Ukraine stuff, because Biden on the Ukraine stuff keeps putting out a cute little message that makes it sound like he wants Ukraine to win. He doesn't want Ukraine to win. He wants a tie between Russia and Ukraine. But what he does is, and it fools a lot of people, what he does is he constantly says, we must make sure Russia doesn't win. And then he says, we must make sure Ukraine doesn't lose. What he never says is, we must make sure Ukraine wins. That's because he actually is for a tie, but he's trying to trick people. And this is what, again, I like Biden. I support Biden, but this pisses me off. He's trying to trick all of you into thinking, no, I heard Biden say we must make sure Ukraine doesn't lose. He's for Ukraine. I heard Biden say we must make sure Russia doesn't win. He wants Ukraine to win. They literally plotted out a messaging strategy to confuse people and trick you. And I don't freaking like that in politicians that I support. It means you're trying to trick me. So those who said, what about Democrats? That's an example of a Democrat doing something that I think is a lie. And I called him out a lot, and it pisses people off on Twitter, doesn't piss people off on here. There have been Democrats charged with voter fraud occasionally. None in the presidential election. The only voter fraud that was discovered was Republican voter fraud in the presidential election. Actually, it was kind of embarrassing because they had a big investigation in Georgia, and they literally found fraud, but they found it with 2 Republicans. The other issue with voter fraud, because somebody brought it up on TikTok, is it doesn't matter in a large national sense if you found voter fraud at the local level. What matters is, did you find significant voter fraud, right? If I win an election by 200,000 votes, I don't really care if you found fraud of 1 vote. I care in a prosecute the criminal sense, of course, but I don't care in a concern for democracy sense if 1 vote was stolen, but I won by 200,000, because then it means I won by 199,000. So it's not enough to say, well, I'll bet we could find a Democrat who cheated in the 2020 election. Okay. And if they did, they should go to jail. But it doesn't mean Trump won. You've got to find significant fraud. And even Trump's own Justice Department said there wasn't significant fraud. Sorry, I want to hear more of this. Oh, this is what his bodyguards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damon Runyon's bodyguard.
Yeah, Roger Stone's bodyguards. Were they Proud Boys or what?
Yeah.
Were Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and they were involved in the assault of the Capitol, of course. Big surprise. Andrea, we can talk about it later. I usually talk about it during my show in the evening, but basically, Biden is afraid, A, he doesn't want Russia to win because Russia will be emboldened and then go after NATO countries. And he thinks it's just, genocide's bad. But he doesn't want Ukraine to win because he's afraid that if Putin loses, Putin will use nuclear weapons. I think he's wrong, but that's what he's afraid of. So I appreciate where he's coming from, but I think it's a sign of weakness, personally.
Has been charged with multiple crimes concerning the attack on January 6th, including seditious conspiracy. During the attack,
Elise, my problem with Biden is his actions are to give Ukraine just enough weapons. Ukraine needs long-range missiles, rockets, and he won't provide them. They need rockets that can go 200 miles, and he will not provide them. And he keeps putting out the lie that, they might attack Russia. They're not going to attack Russia. They could attack Russia now, and they're not. They need those rockets in order to win. But if they start winning, especially Crimea, those rockets would help them win in Crimea. And Biden doesn't want them to win in Crimea because Putin has said, I'll use nukes.
President Trump's effort to convince Americans that he had won the 2020 election began before the election results even came in. It was intentional. It was premeditated. It was not.
I agree with you, Red Duke. Red Duke is saying on TikTok, I don't think Russia will go after NATO countries. They struggle in Ukraine and are not in control. I agree. There's no way in hell. They're losing to Ukraine. Could you imagine? I mean, just adding Poland to the mix would be a disaster for Russia, let alone Poland, the Baltic states, Norway, France, Germany, the UK, America, Canada. Russia would collapse. Anyway, sorry, we're getting into Ukraine. Let's get back to watching this. Adam.
Mr. Chairman.
Adam follows me on Twitter now. I was very excited the other day. He followed me like a couple weeks ago. I was like,
Trump campaign recognized that they had likely lost the election, and they informed Donald Trump of that fact.
He's good.
Even before
Former military as well.
President Biden on April 7th, his chances of pulling out a victory were virtually non-existent. President Trump knew it.
Do you know if anybody ever told the president that he had lost and that there wasn't a chance of it?
Thank you on TikTok.
I know that the president, when the networks called it, of course, he was informed about the network decision. That afternoon at some point, myself and a handful of other folks went over, sat down with the president.
Damien, isn't it funny how when they're not in the White House, they're all wearing the masks? Jason Miller, top Trump White House guy. Nobody was wearing masks in the Trump White House. He's testifying before the committee, and he's got like he's got like a major mask on. It's not just like a cheapo mask. It's like no, clearly.
After that point, yes. At times, President Trump acknowledged the reality of his loss. Although he publicly claimed that he had won the election, privately he admitted that Joe Biden would take over as president. Here's a few examples of that.
So we're in the Oval, there's a discussion going on. And the president says, I think it could have been Pompeo, but he says words to the effect of, yeah, we lost it. We need to let that issue go to the next guy. President Trump.
I remember maybe a week after the election was called, I popped into the Oval just to like give the president a headline to see how he was doing. And he was looking at the TV and he said, "Can you believe I lost to this effing guy?"
Oh, interesting.
On the 18th.
That's interesting.
And so following our conversation with Burr, he driving back to the White House, and I said, "Does the president really think that he lost?" And he said, "A lot of times he'll tell me that he lost, but he wants to keep fighting." He said there might be enough to overturn the election, but he pretty much has acknowledged that he's lost.
This is interesting.
Knowing that he had lost,
Multiple Trump White House staffers saying that Trump literally told them he lost
President Trump rushed
a week after the election, but then publicly again lied to all the Republicans and lied to his own voters. And again, this is Trump's own White House staff. So these are people that, I mean, they're Trump's own people.
Consequences for fragile governments on the front lines of the fight against ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorists. Knowing he was leaving office, he acted immediately and signed this order on November 11th, which would have required the immediate withdrawal of troops from Somalia and Afghanistan, all to be complete before the Biden inauguration on January 20th.
Why?
As you watch these clips, recall that General Keith Kellogg was the National Security Advisor to the Vice President and had served as Chief of Staff to the National Security Council for President Trump. And General Milley was the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon.
Are you familiar with a memo that the president reportedly signed on November 11th, 2020, ordering that troops be withdrawn from Afghanistan and Somalia? So I think you might have seen some things where there's a memo or something from Johnny McAfee to McGregor. It says, here's your task, to get U.S. forces out of Somalia, get U.S. forces out of Afghanistan.
When you first interviewed and met Colonel Douglas McGregor, is it fair to say you discussed this decision of withdrawing from Somalia and Afghanistan, correct?
Yeah, I'm sure that was part of it, yeah.
And that was the position that he was taking over there. Was
Put a background on. What a moron.
Yeah.
So on that same day, just so I'm clear, he responded back to you that they, meaning DOD leadership, was not going to take any of those steps without an order.
Well, Calvin, I'm going to suspect that you and your wife are probably living just fine. But
It should be in the order while I was in the meeting with McAfee. And this was my answer to him. I said, if you want this to happen, or the president wants this to happen, he's got to write an order.
so Trump wanted to immediately withdraw all troops from Afghanistan after he lost the election and before Biden came in, which would have meant, rather than it being over many months, which Biden did, it would have been within 4 weeks. They would have withdrawn everybody from Afghanistan, and it would have been an even bigger collapse than what we saw. What a freaking surprise. What a surprise. Again, I do criticize Biden for Afghanistan. I do think it was kind of a screw up personally, but I mean, Trump was going to do it even worse than Biden did. But of course, all the Republicans will say, not all, but the Trump Republicans are going to say, is that true? We've got all the top military folks saying, and Trump's White House folks saying, yeah, it was true. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Non-standard is potentially dangerous. I personally thought it was militarily not feasible, nor wise. And I proceeded
Yeah, well, I'll get a vacation after Ukraine wins. I do need a vacation, though, someday.
Yeah. If I ever saw anything like that, I would do something physical. Because I thought what that was then was a tremendous disturbance.
Well, we are watching the January 6th hearing at the U.S. Capitol, but currently they're showing a bunch of different interviews before the committee of senior Trump military people and White House people talking about how Trump wanted to withdraw all the troops out of Afghanistan immediately after he lost the election, which would have been even an immediate withdrawal of everybody, which would, Adam Kinzinger just said it would have been catastrophic. It would have been absolutely. That is amazing. Thank you for the paper crane. That is amazing. Wow.
He was hearing that there was no evidence of fraud or irregularities sufficient to change the outcome. I remember a call with Mr. Meadows, where Mr. Meadows was asking.
It must be on C-SPAN's website. Absolutely. Go to C-SPAN dot, what is it? Dot whatever. It'll get, I guarantee you it'll be on C-SPAN's website.
Would be sufficient to
Also on CNN's on a lot of them.
results in any of the key states.
When was that conversation?
Probably in November. Mid to late November. I think it was before my child was born.
And what was Mr. Meadows' reaction to that information?
I believe the words he used were, so there's no there there.
It would be our job to track it down and come up dry, because the allegation did prove to be true. And we have to, relay the news that, that tip that, someone told you about those folks, or that fraud, or, nothing came. Totally our job is, truth telling squad, and,
Thank you, Jay, for the gifts.
It's an easier job to be telling the president about, wild allegations. It's a harder job to be telling him on the back end that, that wasn't true.
What was generally discussed on that topic was whether the fraud, maladministration, abuse, or irregularities, if aggregated and read most favorably to the campaign, would that be outcome determinative? And I think everyone's assessment in the room, at least amongst the staff, Mark Short, myself, and Greg Jacob, was that it was not sufficient to be outcome determinative.
It's the right of a candidate to litigate in election disputes. He argues that the President Trump's litigation was completely unsuccessful. Our past hearings, we told you that the committee had identified a total of 62 election lawsuits filed by the Trump campaign and its allies between November 4th and January 6th of 2021. Those cases resulted in 61 losses, only a single victory, which did not affect the outcome for any candidate. The claims were not supported by any sufficient evidence of fraud or irregularities. In fact, they were baseless, as judges repeatedly recognized. In none of these 62 cases was President Trump able to establish any viable claims of election fraud sufficient to overturn the results of the election. Those hearings were shared with the words used by judges around the country in rejecting the Trump campaign's claims. Strong language criticizing the lack of evidentiary support for the claims of election fraud in those lawsuits. For example, the Federal Appeals Court in Pennsylvania wrote, quote, "Charges require specific allegations and proof. We have neither here." A judge in Wisconsin wrote, quote, "The court has allowed the former president the chance to make his case, and he has lost on the merits." Another judge in Michigan called the claims, quote, "nothing but speculation and conjecture that votes for President Trump were destroyed, discarded, judge in Michigan sanctioned 9 attorneys, including Sidney Powell, making frivolous allegations in an election fraud case, describing the case as a historic and profound abuse of the judicial process. These distinguished Republican election lawyers, or judges and elected officials, issued a report confirming the findings of the courts. In a report entitled Lost and Not Stolen, these prominent Republicans analyzed each election challenge and concluded this: Donald Trump and his supporters failed to present evidence.
My friend Damien's here with me. He's on the couch with Sasha, the dog.
Significant enough to invalidate the results of the 2020 presidential election. On December 11th, Trump's allies lost a lawsuit in the U.S. Supreme Court that he regarded as his last chance at success in the courts. A newly obtained Secret Service message from that day shows how angry President Trump was about the outcome. Quote, just FYI, Lotus is pissed. Breaking news, Supreme Court denied his lawsuit. He is livid. Cassidy Hutchison, the Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, was present for that conversation and described it in this way.
This is the day the Supreme Court had rejected that case. Mr. Meadows and I were in the White House residence at a Christmas reception. And as we were walking back from the Christmas reception that evening, the president was walking out of the Oval Office. We crossed paths in the Rose Garden Colonnade. The president was fired up about the Supreme Court decision.
Thank you for the paper crane.
I was saying Mr. Meadows, I stepped back so it was probably 2-3 feet, catty word and the president just raging about just this typical anger outburst at this decision. The president said,
Typical.
So he had said something to the effect of, I don't want people to
Hey.
know we lost, Mark. This is
Shh,
embarrassing.
shh, shh.
Figure it out. We need to figure it out. I don't want people to know that we lost.
Trump lost the Supreme Court case on trying to overturn the election. And he came out of the Oval Office pissed and told his staff, I don't care what you do. I don't want anybody to know we lost. Just do whatever you have to. But nobody can know we lost. In the Supreme Court, it's like public record. Oh my God. That's fucking, he's so, I mean, make sure nobody knows. It's like a Supreme Court case result. Oh God, he cracks me up. He just cracks me up.
I assume, Pat, that you would agree the president is obligated to abide by the rules of the court. And I assume you also. And I assume you also would agree the president has a particular obligation to take care that the laws be faithfully
Right.
executed.
Hi. I'm just checking and say hi. Hi. Oh, it's okay. That's okay.
Veronica, do you believe the president's obligated to abide by the rules of the court?
Can I pick you up and say hi again real quick? Come here.
Okay.
Oh.
By mid-December,
Come say hi to everybody.
Trump's
There you go.
staff were attempting to persuade him to concede the
That's
election.
fine. Okay. You're right. All right. Hey, you want to look over there real quick? 1 second. There you go. There you go.
December 14th was the day that the states certified their votes and sent them to Congress. And that was the end of the matter. I didn't see, I thought that this would be an excellent way to a new administration. I'm hoping that
Hey, quiet.
which is
Hey, go on up. Go on up. Up. Go on up. She wants to play ball, of course. My dog is screaming at Damien because she wants to play ball. No, not me. Me neither. No, not right now.
means for him to pursue litigation. Probably. And you were all what his response, if any was. He was a great
the son of a justice. President Trump in December explained the situation.
So I recall the president had called on the 13th, spoke about the 14th, in which,
Oh.
thought that
Thank you, loyalty.
it was time for him to acknowledge that.
Sasha, stop.
But I communicated.
Oh, God. Sasha, no. She's demanding Damien play ball with her. It's annoying, but it's kind of funny too. Well, she's such a little bitch because she's just basically looking at him and screaming and saying, "Play ball." Oh God.
Not only did the courts reject President Trump's fraud and other allegations, his Department of Justice appointees, including Bill Burr, Jeffrey Rosen, and Richard Donahue, did as well. President Trump knew the truth. He heard what all his experts and senior staff were telling him. He knew he had lost the election, but he made the deliberate choice to ignore the courts, to ignore the Justice Department, to ignore his campaign leadership, to ignore senior advisors, and to pursue a completely unlawful effort to overturn the election. His intent was plain: ignore the rule of law and stay in power. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes gentlewoman from Virginia, Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mid-December was a turning point. President Trump made a decision, a choice, to ignore the courts and his advisors and to push forward to overturn the election. His efforts to overturn the election were not random or disconnected. Rather, they were part of a coordinated, multi-part plan to ensure that he stayed in power. Donald Trump was the driver behind each part of this plan. He was personally and directly involved. Of course, a key element of the plan was continuing to convince tens of millions of Americans that he did not, in fact, lose. Again, he did this even though his own campaign advisors and his Justice Department officials told him his claims of fraud were wrong. In this video, you'll see that even when top law enforcement officials told the president his election fraud claims were false, he still repeated the claims in the days and weeks that followed. Sometimes, even if they can't say.
I told them that it was pretty stuff. They were wasting their time on that. And it was doing great disservice to the country.
We have a company that's very suspect. Its name is Dominion. With the turn of a dial or the change of a chip, you can press a button for Trump and the vote goes to Biden. What kind of a system is this?
One that doesn't exist.
Andrew County again, that was sort of done at that point, because the Henry County had done and all that. So we cited back to that to say, you know, this is an example of what people are telling you.
Did he mention Dominion?
Yeah.
Why are they suing him too?
I don't know.
Interesting. They should sue him as well.
In addition, there is the highly troubled matter of Dominion voting system.
Oh.
In one Michigan county alone, 6,000 votes were switched.
They should sue him. This is the crazy shit. They're suing Fox News, but they're not suing him. Unless I'm wrong. He's not included, right? I mean, come on, guys. This is like the Alex Jones stuff. You're not going to teach people a lesson unless you go after the big guy. I mean, Fox News is learning, yes, and that's important. But Jesus.
More votes, more absentee votes were cast in Pennsylvania than there were absentee ballots requests, stuff like that. It was just easy to blow up. There was never an indication of
Let him file bankruptcy.
what the actual facts were.
And Don Jr. You don't think Don Jr. mentioned Dominion at least once? You know? He must have.
Then you had voters. That's an easy one to and by the thousands.
That he raised the big vote dump, as he called it, in Detroit. And that, he said people saw boxes coming into the counting station at all hours of the morning. And I said, Mr. President, there are 630 precincts in Detroit, and unlike elsewhere in the state, they centralized the counting process, so they're not counted in each precinct. They're moved.
This is great. So they're showing all of Trump's public claims and the fact that Bill Barr, his attorney general, told him privately, none of them were true.
The suspicion
All of his claims about election fraud.
at 6:31 in the morning, a vote dump of 149,772 votes came in unexpectedly.
With regard to Georgia, we look at the.
But they did sue Fox News. They should have sued Trump at the same time.
The president kept fixating on the suitcase that supposedly had part of the ballots. The suitcase rolled out from under the table. And I said, no, sir, there is no suitcase. You can watch that video over and over. There was a wheel bin where they carry the ballots. And that's just how they move ballots around that facility. There's nothing suspicious about that at all.
Election officials.
Oh.
pulled boxes, Democrats,
Oh, that's interesting.
cases of ballots out from under a table. You also
So what they're doing now with the hearing is they're showing Trump 10 days after
This happened over
his
and over
own
again.
senior appointees told him all that each election lie was a lie. Trump would then go out and repeat the lie publicly after his own staff told him, yeah, it wasn't true, that didn't happen. And what's really interesting is they just showed several clips of Trump repeating the specific election lies about, oh, this happened in Michigan, this happened here, before the crowd on January 6th that then went and attacked the Capitol. In other words, Trump incited the crowd with lies that he knew were lies, and he knew they were the kind of lies that would incite them to go and commit violence against the Congress and against the vice president and everybody else assembled. That's where you get into the criminal element of this. Wow. I have not, I'm trying to remember which one Greg Gutfeld is. I don't remember which one he is on Fox. I know the name.
We all remember, for example, President Trump's tape-recorded call with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
Yeah, Raleigh, I don't even know what you're talking about. Bottom line is, we're watching Trump say a lie about the election on January 6th, and then we're watching his own top political appointees, not career civil service, Trump's top people say on record before the committee under oath that they told Trump 10 days before that that was a lie. It never happened. And Trump 10 days later went on January 6th before the crowd and made the lie again. And the lie so upset everybody that they attacked the Capitol. In the law, if you did that and you weren't president, you would be sued because you incited violence and you knew you were inciting violence. I'd sue for intentional infliction of emotional distress and a lot of other things.
I just want to find 11,780.
We'll see tonight whether I do a Ukraine update. It depends how long this goes.
Especially since he already knew from the Justice Department.
Basically, it's as if I went and told you and I said, oh my God, your wife is dead. And you know, it was really horrible. I was just at your house. The cops were there. Apparently your neighbor, so-and-so, I named the neighbor. I mean, there was literally, you could say, I saw the cops had him hands behind his back, hands bloody, knife in his hand. And the cop said he did it. And then you go home, you rush home, your wife is missing because she happens to be shopping, but you don't know. And you see the neighbor on the street and you kill him. If I told you that and I knew it was a lie, absolutely I'd be sued. Absolutely I'd be sued. Because basically I'd have to think of what the element would be, what the crime would be. Not the crime, but but basically I knew that it was likely that my words were going to lead to violence. And there's also, like I said, infliction of emotional distress as well.
I don't know if he had it. So, or he can't possibly think we're going to pull this off. But that call was crazy. And he knows when you certain shit means certain things and go past. He knows it's over. He knows he lost. But we're going to keep trying. There's some good options out there still. We're going to keep trying.
This call and other related activity is now.
Which call is this, Damien?
Criminal investigation.
What's that?
Which call is this they're talking about?
Oh,
Georgia's not
sorry.
the only state
Not at all.
where President Trump.
Oh, sorry. Damien fell asleep on the couch.
She also attempted the
You want a carrot? Should we get you a carrot?
Change
Okay,
the
we're getting a
result
carrot. One
of
moment.
those states
Yes.
as well.
Okay, carrot.
While President Trump was pressuring state officials, he was also trying to use the Department of Justice to change the election result. His top official told him that there was no evidence to support his claims of fraud. But he didn't care. He told them, just say the election was corrupt. And leave
She
the
likes
rest
frozen
to
baby
the
carrots.
Republican Congressman. When these officials would not do what he said,
Hello, Richard from UK. Today we are watching the January 6th committee. They're having their potentially last hearing about the insurrection, and the most recent evidence they found is a lot of interesting hearing testimony that they're putting public. Sasha's doing well, thank you. Thank you, overpriced. No, Ireland. I still have not been to Ireland. I have to go.
Here's why they said they forcefully rejected it.
And I recall toward the end saying, what you're proposing is nothing less than the United States Justice Department editing the outcome of the presidential election. But more importantly, this was not based on fact. This was actually contrary to the facts.
I'm definitely not a libertarian.
Investigations over the last several weeks and months.
Sometimes I wonder what I am. Oh, wandering. That's nice.
Into the political process this way, I think it would have had great consequences for the country. It may very well.
Oh, trust me, I'm dying to go to Ireland and Scotland. Hello, Scotland. Look what I've got. My Scotland Starbucks mug that I got back in 2007, back when Starbucks made cool mugs. I love these things. I got two. Everybody made fun of me on my trip, and then I showed them. We had our own bus because we were there as journalists kind of to watch the G20 or whatever it was. And people said, you bought coffee mugs from Starbucks as gifts? I took them out and showed it to them. I mean, look at this. It's like with the guy and everything. And they were like, oh my God. They made us turn the bus around. Everybody went to Starbucks. 20 people got off and bought Starbucks mugs. Anyway, I loved Edinburgh. I've been dying to travel around Scotland otherwise. Oh, thanks, Patty. I got it from the Starbucks. Wait, this was on 7/7, way back. Starbucks used to make really cool mugs. Now they do ugly mugs for the various cities. But back then they did really cool mugs. Oh, I guess we're getting everybody talking today. Yeah, everybody wants to talk today.
Another key part of the president's effort was a scheme to assemble fake electors to cast false electoral votes in the states that President Trump lost. This was something done not
Oh, wow.
by the president's knowledge.
Amphiton, you're in Crimea now. Wow. God, hope you're doing okay. I can't even imagine that. Someone on TikTok just said hi from Crimea. Very cool. Ronna Romney McDaniel, who Trump made change her last name. She's the head of the Republican Party, the head of the Republican National Committee, the RNC. And Trump didn't like the fact that her middle name was Romney because she's a Romney, because he hates Mitt Romney. So he literally made her change her name, and she did. So now she goes by Ronna McDaniels instead of Ronna Romney McDaniels. I mean, it's insane. It's insane what he's gotten these people to do. But imagine changing your last name because Donald Trump didn't like it. I mean, Google the story. Totally real story. Google it. It's insane. Rana.
These fake electors were ultimately part of the president's plan to replace genuine Biden electors with Trump electors on January 6th. As part of this plan, the false electoral states were sent to the National Archives into the Capitol. The fake electors plan was also tied to
You're more than welcome to join. Albanian landlord.
to make Vice President Mike Pence reject or refuse to count certain Biden electoral votes so that President Donald Trump.
I don't know. Australians and Americans, I think, often get along very well.
Here's what Vice President
I've always enjoyed Australians.
President Trump said I had the right to overturn the election. President Trump is wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. The presidency belongs to the American people and the American people alone.
You know, in retrospect, Damien, that's more about Mike Pence wanting to be president.
Yeah.
He's trying to make excuses for why he did it. At the time, we thought he was being a hero, but
Make no mistake, President Trump knew that what he was demanding Vice President Pence do was illegal. He was informed
because
that
Big
this
Mac,
needed to be
Republicans won't let us focus on President Biden. Republicans have decided to make Donald Trump the head of their party, and Donald Trump the basically model for every Republican running for office, right? I mean, all the top Senate candidates you guys have are Trumpers. The House candidates are Trumpers. You've got Trumpers running in states across the country as governor and as secretaries of state in charge of elections. Trumpers who say they're going to steal the election. So unfortunately, you guys have made it so that we can't stop talking about Donald Trump. If Donald Trump would go away, if Donald Trump would go to jail, if you guys would just repudiate Donald Trump, we'd stop. But, you know, we're going to see, Jerky, as to whether I do a 6 o'clock tonight. It depends how long this goes. But if this goes too long, then I may just be too tired to do one at 6.
Of course, President Trump's White House counsel, Simone, also recognized that this plan was unlawful. Here is Mr. Cipolloni's testimony.
My view is
See?
the vice president had
Oh, right.
authority to do anything.
Now they're talking about Trump's plan to have Vice President Pence just like throw out the votes on January 6th when Congress was certifying the election.
President Trump called the vice president from the Oval Office.
Yeah, we'll see, Ashley. The only issue with the one at 6 is it takes me like a good 2 hours to prepare for it. And usually that's also when I've spent the day putting up videos on TikTok. So I've actually been perusing the news the whole day as well. So that's my only concern. We'll see how it goes. But like if this finishes right before 4, you know, then I've got to spend 2 hours researching and then an hour on the show. We'll see. It just depends.
But Vice President Pence didn't
What was that?
care even when his own life was in
Trump
danger
called
when
Pence
President Trump
pussy.
and the
Oh,
rioters had
Trump
captured
called
him.
She said the
the P word. Trump called Pence the P word, and the P word wasn't Pence. Hey, Glenn, what part is a witch hunt? Did they not attack the Capitol? Did Trump not lie to them? We now know Trump lied. His own staff, his own top appointees from the White House and the Justice Department, his appointees, not career, all said Trump lied. And the lies are what motivated people to attack the Capitol. So, you know what? Yeah, I mean, feel free to say it, but you can't. What witch hunt? You know? Actually, by the way, I think you're kind of wrong. I don't know. Glenn is a troll, though. You can always tell because the trolls are the ones who put the like smiley faces and stuff. They don't quite realize it's a tell. What is it?
March for Trump, January 6th.
Hey, come here. Come here. What?
We obtained a text message that one rally organizer sent on January 4th.
It was partially a lack of IQ, but that means they were gullible and easily swayed, and Trump swayed them. You know, he took advantage. Trump's base is easily swayed. You could say lack of IQ. I'm not sure what you want to call it. I don't think his base is very bright, but there's also a cult-ish aspect to his base. They want people to tell them what to do. Taylor, that's funny. But they want someone to tell them what to do and what to believe. And unfortunately, there's a gullibility to it where they just believe everything, you know? Well, Joey, if you like Trump, this definitely isn't good content for you. We're watching a legal case being laid out that Trump lied to you and lied to all of his voters in order to, I don't know what, probably to make a couple $100 million as well. He did this in order to fundraise off of you. And if I were you, I'd be upset too. We just found out that Trump lied to you and knew he lied to you, that he had a plan to lie to you before the election. A week before the election, Steve Bannon came out and said on tape, we just listened to it. Steve Bannon came out and said that the plan was to lie to you all along. Election night, they were gonna declare victory, even if they didn't. They were going to say, look, we're ahead, knowing that Republican votes would be counted first and Democratic votes would be counted overnight because they were mail-in ballots. And he literally said this. He goes, we'll be ahead in the evening because our votes are counted first. And then the next morning, the day after the election, we're going to wake up and we're probably going to be behind because that's when Democratic votes will be counted overnight. But we're going to say, how did this happen? We were ahead last night. This is fraud. I mean, he literally on tape, Trump's top guy on tape, admitted that they had a whole plot to lie to you. So if I were you, I'd be upset too. And if you're not upset about it, I'd kind of ask yourself, why not? Because whatever you can say about Democrats or anybody else in this country, or frankly, Republicans, because most of these, all of these, all of these witnesses have been Republicans, not even a Democrat. You know? Jason, when it's a lie that leads to violence, you've got a problem. Also, I think it's cute that you say, oh, they all lie to us. You're laughing and you think it's funny that your guys lie to you, especially about election results. I got news for you. People I vote for don't lie to me about election results. That doesn't happen. It was the fringe of Hillary. The fringe of Bernie, I didn't vote for Bernie. The fringe of Bernie supporters said that it was a lie. We were cheated. And it was the crazy fringe that nobody talks to among Democrats. The Hillary people who claimed Hillary won against Barack Obama in the primaries, it was the fringe of Hillary people that nobody talks to in the Democratic Party. With Trump, it was literally your top guy who lied about it. It's been 2 years. He's still lying about it. And even better, he admitted privately that he knows he's lying. And he's trying to basically bilk you for money. And if you think that's funny or I don't know what, I don't know. I don't think there are any captions for this, Lisa. I don't think there are captions for lives. Pretty sure. I've never seen the option. Oh, I thought, okay. I don't know. By you saying no, it looks like you were being funny, Jason. Not funny, but mocking. If you weren't, okay.
On a call with President Trump's White House National Security Staff in early January 2021, Deputy Secretary of Defense David Norquist had warned about the potential that the Capitol would be the target of the attack. Here's General Mark Milley, who was also present for this call, describing Deputy Secretary Norquist.
Not a chance in hell, Rob.
Norquist said during one of these calls, the greatest threat is a direct assault on the Capitol.
This
Wow.
email, for example, was an alert that the Secret Service received on December 24th with the heading, "Armed and Ready, Mr. President." According to the intelligence, multiple users online were targeting members of Congress, instructing others to march into the chambers on January 6th and make sure they know who to fear. In this report received on December 26th, the Secret Service field office relayed a tip that had been received by the FBI. The source of the tip, the Proud Boys plan to march armed into D.C. They think that they will have a large enough group to march into D.C. armed, source reported, and will outnumber the police so they can't be stopped. The source went on to say, their plan is to literally kill people. Please take this tip seriously and investigate further. The source also made clear that the Proud Boys had detailed their plans on multiple websites, like the Donald.win. Let's pause here. The Secret Service had advanced information more than 10 days beforehand regarding the Proud Boys planning for January 6th. We know now, of course, that the Proud Boys and others were the assault on our Capitol building. On December 31st, agents circulated intelligence reports that President Trump's supporters
Stop, Sasha.
proposed a movement to occupy Capitol Hill. In particular, they flagged spikes in violent hashtags like
Interesting.
"We Are the Storm," 1776 Rebel, and "Occupy Capitals." On January 5th, the Secret Service open source unit flagged a social media account on the Donald.win that threatened to bring a sniper rifle to a rally on January 6th. The user also posted a picture of a handgun and rifle with the caption, "Sunday Gun Day," providing Overwatch January 6th will be wild. Later, on the evening of January 5th, the Secret Service learned during an FBI
Oh, that's
briefing
interesting.
that right-wing groups are establishing armed QRFs, or Quick Reaction Forces, readying to deploy for January 6th.
The
Groups
handle
like
is.
goalkeepers were standing by at the ready should POTUS request assistance. By invoking the Insurrection Act, agents were informed.
What do you mean the handle's taken?
As we all know now, goalkeepers did play a specific role on January 6th and had stashed weapons in Virginia for further violence that
Is it
evening.
the other one?
Also on that day, the Secret Service was rating its security precautions with the president's speech at the ellipse the next day. The Secret Service deputy chief instructed agents to add certain objects to the list of items that would be prohibited at the rally site, including ballistic vests, tactical vests, armored or not, and ballistic helmets. By the morning of January 6th, it was clear that the Secret Service anticipated violence. It felt like the calm before the storm, one agent predicted in a Protective Intelligence Division chat group. Another remarked how agents were watching the crazies on live stream. By 9:09 that morning, the Secret Service could also see that many rally goers were assembled outside the security perimeter. One agent emailed, possibly because they had stuff that couldn't come through, would probably
That's
be
really
an
bad.
issue with this crowd. Just a thought. By 9:30 that morning, agents reported more than 25,000 people outside the rally site. An hour later, the Secret Service reported that the crowd was on the mall watching, but not in line. The head of the President's Secret Service Protective Detail, Robert Engel, was specifically aware of the large crowds outside the magnetometers. He passed that information along to Tony Ornato, who worked for Mark Meadows in the Chief of Staff's office. Documents
How the hell's it
obtained from
taken?
the Secret Service make clear that the crowd outside the magnetometers was armed, and the agents knew it. Take a look at what they were seeing and hearing on the ground. One report from the rally site at 7:58 a.m. said, some members of the crowd are wearing ballistic helmets, body armor, carrying radio equipment, and military-grade backpacks. Another from 9:30 a.m. said that there were possibly OC spray, meaning ocean spray, and or plastic riot shields. At 11:23 a.m., agents also reported possible armed individuals, one with a Glock, one with a rifle. The next hour, agents reported possible man with a gun reported, confirmed pistol on hip located in a tree, and one detained at 14th and I Street Northwest.
Hey, Josie.
Individual had an assault rifle on his person. Minutes before President
Well,
Trump began his speech,
the thing is, Cherry, that if the committee is lying, then everybody in the committee had testified under oath also lied, because they've got Trump's attorney general, Trump's deputy attorney general, Trump's White House counsel, his lawyer, Trump's deputy White House counsel, the deputy lawyer that Trump picked at the White House, one of Trump's top communications aide, another White House employee, another top Trump White House employee. So if these were lies, these would literally be all of Trump's top people lying about what Trump knew and what Trump did. So that's sort of the problem in calling it lies. Is one thing the committee has been very smart about doing is they didn't present any evidence at all from any Democrats at all. It's all Republicans, and most of them are people who worked for Donald Trump. So You know, everybody who worked for Donald Trump's a liar? All of Trump's top people are liars? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Take this document, for instance, which details multiple.
Will you stop?
crowds demonstrating
The dog is staring me down like she wants something.
those arrests with
Stop.
weapons offenses, handguns, nasty feeding devices, ammunition. What the Secret Service saw on the 6th was entirely consistent with the violent rhetoric circulating in the days before the joint session on pro-Trump websites, at times amplified. by the
There seems to be a delay sometimes between the different networks. I don't know why,
as you've heard.
but somehow they get it differently, and there can be like a 10-second delay or 15 seconds. I don't know why, but and online is often different as well. Don't know why.
Less than a week before January 6th. I got the base fired up, he wrote in all caps. He sent a link to this page on the Donald.win. The linked webpage had comments about the joint session of Congress on January 6th. Look,
Hey, Mike.
some of those comments. Gallows don't require electricity.
Well, it's not possible for them all to be lying, because literally it would be a conspiracy of lies. And mind you, it's all of Trump's top people who would be lying about Trump.
Two, after rightfully certifying Trump the winner.
Right? It's all of Trump's top employees who are saying this about Trump, who are saying Trump knew he lost. Trump told them he lost. Trump had a plan to lie to Republican voters and pretend like he lost the election, or he won the election when he knew he lost. Trump knew that that the examples he was giving of voter fraud were fake. That Trump's own, I mean, they literally had his own attorney general, Trump's guy there saying, I told Trump it was a lie. 10 days later, Trump went public with the lie. I told Trump this was a lie. 10 days later, Trump claimed it. Everything Trump claimed about election fraud were lies that his own senior staff already told him. So the thing becomes, CNN isn't really the point, because I'm not watching CNN. I'm watching a live feed of the hearings on the Hill. So it doesn't really matter who's showing them. I'm watching the live feed of the camera from Capitol Hill. So that's not true. What's not true? Every single thing. Well, had you come an hour and a half ago, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about, because we watched all of Trump's top people. Bill Barr. What I just said was from Bill Barr. There's video under oath of Bill Barr saying he repeatedly told Trump that all the election fraud arguments were lies. 10 days later, on January 6th, Trump went public and repeated the lies, and then the crowd went wild and attacked the Capitol. Google it. Don't sit here and just be a little Trumper and say it's a lie. Go and Google it. Learn for yourself. But seriously, at this point, I'm sorry, but you're kind of pathetic if you're not going to find out the truth for yourself. There's literally video of his own people saying all of this. So stop.
One of the interviews with Vice President Pence, perhaps the primary target of President Trump's pressure campaign in the days leading up to January 6th.
Okay. You're fake. All right, you're fake. You're leaving now. Sorry.
Secret Service was aware of increased chatter focused on Vice President Pence.
I Googled it and it's BS. You Googled the actual video we just watched of the testimony of Trump's own attorney general under oath saying that he told Trump about all of the individual election lies were lies. All of the election fraud arguments were lies. And he even detailed them. Michigan, a suitcase being moved out after dark was a lie. Literally, Trump's own attorney general said it under oath. Man, come on.
I saw several other alerts saying they will storm the Capitol if he doesn't do the right thing. The anger reflected in these postings was obvious, the man at the center of the storm on January 6th.
Correct, MT. That's exactly it. Exactly. And to the degree that his statements incited people, they were in bad faith, right? It's one thing. I gave the example before. It's one thing for me to tell you, oh my God, your wife was just murdered and so-and-so did it. That's what I heard. If I'm telling the truth and you go and kill so-and-so, well, meaning someone literally told me, who I trust, that your wife was murdered and Joe Blow, the neighbor, did it. And you go and kill Joe Blow. Well, if I had a good faith reason to believe it was true, you really can't come after me legally for it unless I was negligent, right? But in this case, if I just lied about it and I knew what I was telling you could lead you to become violent, well, again, if your family really was murdered by your neighbor, your neighbor can't sue me because I told you, hey, your family was murdered by your neighbor, and it's true, and you go out and try to kill the neighbor can't sue me for that. Oh, he tried to kill me after you told him the truth about my murder. Well, come on, right? That's part of it too. Is Trump's lies it just adds to the sort of felonious aspect of the whole thing. That he knew what he was saying was inciting to violence, and he knew it was a lie. And again, it's part of a larger legal fraud argument here as well, that Trump's entire thing was based on fraud. All his entire argument from day one was a conspiracy of fraud. Break. I wish they'd do more recesses. They're doing a quick break. We'll do a break too. I mean, I'll leave this running, but we'll do a quick break too. See, this worries me, Damien. I'm a little afraid this is going until 4 o'clock.
I think it might, because when I sent the recorder, Elizabeth just said we want to add an extra hour.
Who said this?
When I sent the DVR or whatever.
Oh, right. Oh, that's funny. It knew.
Yeah, it knew.
Let me see. I'd like to see what the experts are saying.
We can now report, my colleague Monica Roger and I have confirmed from multiple sources that in today's hearing, the committee will hold a vote to subpoena Donald Trump.
Well, okay, stop.
Skipping the invitation, they are going straight.
I mean, not sure what that gets them, but
That he will comply, but they are setting down for the right.
Oh, I've read up on all about 2000 Mules. It's fake. I mean, the entire thing was debunked. The entire thing was debunked. Google it. And don't go, that idiot, the felon. The guy's a felon who produced it, right? Literally, he's a felon. But the entire thing was debunked. You might want to Google it and not read Fox News, not read actually, that's even worse. Even Fox News, I think, would have issues with 2000 Mules. But, but no, totally. It was literally debunked. But that's the problem, though. It's literally a conspiracy of people lying to you guys on the right. And it just kind of boggles my mind because you're okay with it. No, I criticized BLM and the Antifa crap. I absolutely criticized them when they were with the in DC. They broke a window in my building. I excoriated them publicly. So no, I totally criticized them. So what's your point, Rusty? Absolutely criticize them. So are you going to criticize Trump now? You asked. Stop. You stop. All right, relax.
Is this for his interview? Is this for documents or both? So as you can see, Jake, they're not revealing a lot of details about what they plan to subpoena Donald Trump for, but I know full well that they're unlikely to get any cooperation from the former president, especially since this investigation is wrapping up in a matter of days. Mr. Raskin, can you explain this? We're live on CNN.
No one's going to explain. Yeah, so basically CNN's reporting that the committee is going to vote on a subpoena for Donald Trump, but I'm not sure what the point of that is because he's not going to come. So, but I'm not sure why they're doing it, though. I mean, of course they should, but actually, you know what? I'm sort of thinking about this, Damien. Subpoenaing Donald Trump is saying Donald Trump is a material witness to this entire crime, and he needs to be interviewed and needs to be talked to. They're sending a public message that is for the FBI and Department of Justice, that I think that Donald Trump is a material, that in our 2-year investigation, we found that Donald Trump is a material witness. So then the Department of Justice has to interview Trump, but it's putting pressure on them. Syndicate, I don't know, but we're looking at possibly not doing a live tonight at the rate this is going, because the fact that they're having the break now means it's going till 4 p.m. Eastern, which means another hour and a half, I think. And that's starting to push it because at that point, I'm not sure I'm going to want to start researching for tonight.
Too much time on some of those other- And this is so great. Yeah, it really is. Right. And you don't lost it, but you don't want to have that, you know, embarrassing.
George Conway, who Damien and I met at a party, at a cocktail party.
Time to enforce it, even though.
And at the Russian embassy. That's right. That's right.
When they allowed the National Archives to produce executive materials to this committee, and he's a private citizen, so he could be here and compelled, they could make a criminal record, he did with Meadows and others. But none of that's gonna happen. This is about laying mark. This is about and triggering a response.
Well, LaShawn, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, you know, I mean, we know some of these guys were seemingly got tours and everything else from some of the far right members of Congress. You know, Elise, it seems like it's never gripping TV. Although I will say, I've learned things today I didn't know. That Bannon video was fascinating, and seeing, seeing Bill Barr, Trump's Attorney General, literally say, "Oh yeah, that thing with Michigan and the fake, the suitcases stealing ballots. I told him was a lie. We already had it debunked." Or Bill Barr or the other Justice Department deputy, and then seeing Trump 10 days later repeat the lie. I'd never seen that, so to speak. So for me, this was actually more interesting than some of the other hearings. I've been learning more than otherwise. Yeah, Syndicate, we'll see. It takes a lot of work to prepare the show. So that's why I don't just want to come on and it's only an hour. It's an hour plus 2 hours of preparation and 2 hours of preparation that I'm really going to have to prepare because right now I haven't been reading up on Ukraine all afternoon. So that's why. Well, the voice thing, that's true. Right. Because considering I am speaking today, you're right. Although I'm not speaking loudly, which is good. Breaking my stream on that. Discord's a possibility. Yeah, Discord Hangout's possible. That's possible. But it would be just hanging out. I mean, I could even just do a Discord Hangout and pull up the news, kind of go through it. I mean, could do it on, I don't know. We'll see. Sasha, what do you want from me? No. Oh, I know what she wants. You're here, Damien, and we're not going OUT. Right. Because normally this time of the day, I'm taking my dog out and we do a nice long walk in the park. And although it's raining today, so not much of it, she wouldn't go anyway if she knew. But when Damien comes over, 99% of the time, Damien comes over and we take Sasha and go for a nice long walk. So that's what's pissing her off. I was wondering what's pissing her off. That's what's pissing her off. She's like, Damien's here and it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Why are we not going for a long walk?
On Truth Social, maybe even appearance on one of his favorite channels where everything he says goes unchecked.
The subpoena thing, I mean, so just to repeat, so CNN was saying that they've learned that the committee is going to, oh, hang on. They're talking about it.
It's potentially a legal strategy because if he responds officially in a way that the DOJ could use, that's a win legally.
The hearing is about to resume our conversation.
Okay, that's interesting. So Dana Bash was saying on CNN that asking, subpoenaing Trump, voting for a subpoena for Trump and subpoenaing him potentially puts Trump in a bit of a legal bind because if he responds to the subpoena, which he has, in principle has to do, but if he responds to the subpoena, his response could be legally used against him by the Department of Justice, depending what Trump says or alleges or whatever. So that's interesting. Having said that, they may just, Trump may just ignore it until early January if the Republicans win the House, which, still looks like they could, or still looks like they may. If the Republicans win the House, then the committee's gone anyway. So then Trump doesn't need to respond because the subpoena dies. Oh, he'd take the fifth anyway, but he's not testifying. Now, I will say this too. Actually, here's an interesting point, Damien.
Yeah.
There is, even though Trump could just wait 2 months or 3 months, because if Democrats lose the House, he doesn't have to respond to the
Right, 'cause there is no
what?
committee.
No, the subpoena at all. But it's Donald Trump. How is Donald Trump going to go 3 months without responding to a subpoena before the committee, basically saying, you did this, we want to talk to you, you're guilty, or whatever the hell? Trump is going to be exploding with
but he'll
this.
still do it. He'll still ignore it. So.
He will ignore it, but he's going to respond to it publicly.
Oh.
And he's going to make more comments that can be used against him. That's my point.
Maybe that's why they're.
That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I wonder. That's interesting. Well, but I get where she's coming from now, because you're here.
Oh, I know.
And
but
it's
you're
the
making me
time.
feel bad.
I know. But but it's raining all day, which the second we
It
went
is.
outside, she
Well,
wouldn't even want to be out there. Oh, DOJ guy, he's good.
Theoretical possibility of that. If he declines to testify, then this committee will have to decide, do we vote and hold him in contempt? And if so, then it will go to the.
I know, Sasha, you're okay. Okay. You're okay. Hey, stop. Please. A German consulate was hit in Ukraine somewhere. Now, I will say this in all fairness. We hit the Chinese embassy in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, Serbia at the time, or I guess it already was Serbia at the time, in Belgrade, when the Serbs were committing genocide against the Kosovars, and we rightly joined and bombed them to stop them, but we, accidentally hit the Chinese embassy, and everybody was kind of like, was it accidental? But nonetheless, it probably was accidental. My Discord is discord.aravosis.com. So you can find it there. Oops, hang on. I'll even type it for you. Discord. Yes.com. So I can read this. Oops, did it. There we go. That's where you find the Discord. Yeah, true. It is considered that country's land, Arthur. The thing is, if it's a mistake, then it's not an act of war. If it's on purpose, it's an act of war. So, again, since the Americans blew up the Chinese embassy, they killed people too, I think, or we killed people. The Chinese embassy in Serbia back in 1999 or whatever it was. That's a pretty good precedent to say, you don't go to war if you accidentally hit a foreign embassy or a foreign consulate. So in this case, I'm not going to get too outraged unless the Russians did it on purpose. Knowing the Russians, however, they could have done it on purpose because this is the Russians. So.
They've interviewed 1,000 witnesses, they've subpoenaed other people, they've spoken to other people. Of course, why would they not?
Literally what we got going on here.
Is their argument to make?
And they started at the hearing saying, heard Congressman Liz
Where she
Cheney say, today's
Yeah.
men will be about
Looking all
focusing on
pathetic there.
Donald Trump's state of mind. And the lawyer made the
Making me feel bad.
We're going to talk about the state of mind then, because state of mind to me can often be, and we know, the direct evidence, not what people are saying about, not the talking around. And so you got to get it from the proverbial horse's mouth. And again,
A business meeting? Like, okay.
no one's asking me, you're talking about this is a witch hunt, all these things. This is a time where
I heard about
you don't have to shut up, Mr. President. You can actually speak right now, and if he does not.
see, there you go. That's
That is problematic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This move.
Let me see this.
Subpoena will give the committee a rhetorical talking point.
Right.
That's important. That's not unimportant.
Right.
And they will essentially blunt what has been Trump's defense and his defenders' defense so far, which is this is one-sided.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Former Department of Justice guy is saying that by subpoenaing Trump, it blunts one of Trump's arguments. Will be this is one-sided. Example, people saying here, right? Oh, we're not hearing the truth, and they're going to say, well, we told Trump, we subpoenaed Trump and said, come tell us the truth. And he refused. Hillary, on the other hand, was it 11 hours or 13 hours that Hillary testified? 13? Hillary came and testified for 13 hours, right? So because earlier we had the trolls on TikTok saying Hillary was a liar too. Well, and maybe she was then, but I don't think she was, but maybe she was, but she came and testified 13 hours. So I guess Trump should too. Okay. Works for me. Without breaking a sweat, seriously. And didn't plead the fifth. Exactly. So 11. Okay.
Yeah.
Damien just looked it up. 11 hours. 11 hours.
Jeez.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, I find this tiring, but also what's exhausting about that is you're under oath, but also she wanted to run for president and she knew they were trying to destroy her. So she's trying to be very careful that they don't get her into trouble legally, that she doesn't say something wrong or whatever, lie under oath, but also that she doesn't say something that destroys her chance at running for president. Because back then it was before 2016. My guess is 2000. When was it? 11, 12?
What?
When were the hearings? 11?
2015.
Oh, 2015. It was that late. Okay. So it was right before she was running for president. She didn't want to get it wrong. So that had to be exhausting because you would have to be literally at the top of your game and you're being interviewed by members of Congress who are former prosecutors, things like that, to really that had to be exhausting.
Mm-hmm. It was October 2015.
October 2015. Okay, there you go. Actually, October 2015 would have already been during the primaries.
Well, yeah, exactly. She was pretty much, yeah.
The primaries would not have happened yet, but it would have been already president. She already would have announced.
Oh, yeah.
Even back then, I think. Yeah. So. Well, Mago, the Russian collusion hoax, there is no Russian collusion hoax. Don Jr. actually confessed. He even released the proof publicly that he sat down with the Russians and accepted their invitation to help Trump win the election, which is horrific. Donald Trump has had, through his presidency, Donald Trump gave classified information to the Russians in the Oval Office. Do your work. Google it. Lavrov and the ambassador and the foreign minister. I'm forgetting the ambassador's name, and Lavrov, the foreign minister, in the Oval Office. Trump slipped them classified information, accidentally, that Israel was livid because it was Israeli information that he gave them, which put an Israeli source at risk in, I believe, Syria or Lebanon. So, yeah, the Russian collusion hoax, and then finally, let's talk about Helsinki and how Donald Trump got up there after a secret meeting with Vladimir Putin that went for hours, and Trump told nobody what happened during the meeting, made the person destroy their notes from the meeting. So America has no idea what Trump did for several hours with Putin, other than he came out and exonerated Putin entirely from Putin's attack on our election and said he believed Putin and not the American intelligence services. So the Russian collusion hoax. The guy is so co-opted by Russia, that's not even funny. Anyway, the hearing's back on.
To disrupt Congress.
Nuking hurricanes, exactly.
Is the time for the ellipse rally approach. An email was circulated among intelligence officials, including Secret Service intelligence official, attaching communications among rally-goers that specifically contemplated violence. Trump has given us marching orders. One post on the Donald.Way wrote, basically, if you're east of the Mississippi, you can and should be there. Advance on the Capitol. Keep your guns hidden. Don't fuck around. Full kits, 180 rounds minimum for main rifle, another 50 for sidearm per person. What is clear from this record is that the White House had more than enough warning to warrant stopping any plan for an ellipse rally, and certainly for stopping any march to the Capitol. And as evidence from our prior hearings has suggested, the president was aware of this information. But despite awareness of the potential for violence and weapons among the crowd, the ellipse event nevertheless went forward, and Donald Trump instructed the angry crowd, some of whom were armed, to march to the Capitol. As my colleague Mr. Schiff just described, the Secret Service reported that thousands in the crowd near the Washington Monument would not enter the rally area because magnetometers used in screening attendees would detect any prohibited items they carried. Mr. Trump knew this. The Secret Service
about it that morning. Even in spite of these warnings, Cassidy Hutchinson overheard the president say this shortly before he took stage.
He wanted it full and he was angry that we weren't letting people through the night.
Cassidy Hutchinson's former top Trump White House official.
Our weapons. I was in the vicinity of a conversation where I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't effing care that they have weapons.
Oh God, this part. Yeah.
Take the effing bags away. Let my people in. They can march the Capitol from here. Let the people in.
I mean, this is repetitive, but I guess they're trying to present a larger case. Nope. Thank you.
Asked law enforcement to let his supporters in the rally site.
Oh, Damien, does she want to go on the? Oh no, she just wants you. Oh God. Thank you, Kathy.
The military, the Secret Service, and we want to thank you, and the police, law enforcement, you're doing a great job.
There you go. Thank you, Damien. Yeah, Damien's back on the couch letting Sasha jump on her because that makes her happy.
President Trump then told his supporters to march to the Capitol.
Oh, so you. Thanks, Ashley. So you. Oh, God. All right. Oh, hey, Syndicate. Yep.
President Trump
That's funny.
And there was no doubt that President Trump knew what he was going to do, sending an angry mob, a number of whom were clad in tactical gear and military garb, armed with various weapons, to the Capitol. There's no scenario where that action is benign. There's no scenario where an American...
This is important, but it's repetitive. Unless they're trying to pull it all together. Because we learned this at a previous hearing, but maybe they're trying to take, because there were 6 or 7 hearings, try to take them and weave them into one story, I guess. So,
Mr. Trump's efforts to lead the mob to the Capitol himself. His angry
oh yeah, he is kind of.
presidential SUV with the Secret Service told
Not sure why he's just repeating stuff.
for him to go. As we detailed in testimony from the Metropolitan
I don't know.
Police and White House
So far,
personnel,
probably not alive at 6 p.m. Eastern because this is going long today. And I think I may just be too tired because it takes me a few hours to prepare the lives. So,
national security responsibility explained that this information was in fact
what some folks had suggested is I may go on the Discord and just kind of have one of the audio Discords where we hang out and we can talk about it in general, which might not be a terrible idea. You know?
angry the president was when he was in a limo that afternoon. That professional also testified that they were specifically informed of the president's
This is long. Yeah, oops.
in the SUV by Mr. Ornato in Mr. Ornato's office. It was Mr. Engel with Mr. Ornato in that office. They expressed to me that the president was irate, on the drive up. Mr. Engel did not deny the fact that the president was irate. That, of course, corresponds closely with the testimony you saw this summer from Cassidy Hutchinson, a Metropolitan Police officer who was in the motorcade and from multiple sources. Additionally, after concluding its review of the voluminous additional Secret Service communications from January 5th and January 6th, the committee will be recalling witnesses and conducting further investigative depositions based on that material. Following that activity, we will provide even greater detail in our final report. And I will also note this. The committee is reviewing testimony regarding potential obstruction on this issue, including testimony about advice given not to tell the committee about this specific topic. We will address this matter in our report. We also want to remind you now of how security professionals working in the White House complex and
Just realized I never did a TikTok plant tour of my balcony in midsummer when it was blooming wonderfully. That was my big bad. I mean, the plants are still green, but they're not as floriferous as they were. I was wanting to do that. Oh, well.
One, the actual physical feasibility of the building, and then also, we all knew what happened. That this was no longer a rally, that this was going to move the White House if he physically want to. I don't know if you want to use the word insurrection.
A White House security official, but hiding his identity?
Yeah, I was a little curious about that.
Ooh. Wow.
They just refer to him as White House security.
Ooh. Ooh. I had not seen that.
Trump was still considering traveling to the Capitol.
They interviewed a White House security official under Trump who didn't want his name or face to be public, and they had to hide his voice, who said that they were extremely worried that Trump wanted to bring, because they knew Trump wanted to bring 15,000 people over to the Capitol from the thing at the White House, and they were very concerned about what was going to happen. Not meaning, Trump was in danger of, Antifa showing up, but meaning the crowd itself. They were worried about Trump's own crowd. Wow.
So to the best of my recollection, I recall it being, wanting to, saying that he wanted to physically walk and be a part of the march, and then saying that, he would ride the beast, if he needed to, ride in the presidential limo.
From the Secret Service, the Select Committee has also obtained important new evidence on this issue. It shows how frantic this hour must have been for the Secret Service, scrambling to get the President of the
Hi,
United
that
States
one Annie
back down
kid.
from a dangerous and reckless
How are ya?
decision that put people in harm's way. Take a look at the Secret Service email from 1:19 p.m. on January 6th, the minute that President Trump got out of the presidential vehicle back at the White House. As soon as the president left his motorcade, leadership from the Secret Service contacted Bobby Engel.
Thanks, Ashley, for throwing that in.
Presidential detail and warned him that they were, quote, concerned about an OTR, an off-the-record movement to the Capitol. The people sworn to protect the safety of the President of the United States and who routinely put themselves in harm's way were convinced that this was a bad idea. Secret Service documents also revealed how agents were poised to take President Trump to the Capitol later that afternoon. Agents were instructed to don their protective gear and prepare for a movement. A few minutes later, they were told the president would leave for the Capitol in 2 hours. It wasn't until 1:55 p.m. the president's lead Secret Service agent told them to stand down. We're not doing an OTR to the Capitol. By then, rioters had breached the Capitol and were violently attacking the efforts of the brave men and women in law enforcement trying to resist the mob. President Trump may not have gone to the Capitol on January 6th. What he did from the White House cannot be justified. While congressional leaders, both Democrats and Republicans, worked with Vice President Pence to try and address the violence, President Trump
I'm having more sushi.
pleas for help from nearly everyone around him. And what he did do only made the situation worse. Mr. Chairman, yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes the gentleman from the Herald, Mr. Raskin, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The president was still exhorting his
Raskin's very good.
supporters to go fight like hell at 12:50, around the time that the first wave of rioters first breached barricades defending the Capitol.
Stop.
Secret Service documents we recently received give a timeline of precisely what the White House knew and when.
Sushi.
At 1:19, the President's Emergency Operations Center sent an email to Secret Service, National Security, and military advisors to the President and Vice President, informing them that, quote, hundreds of Trump supporters stormed through metal barricades at the back of the Capitol building about 1 p.m. Wednesday, running past security guards and breaking fences. When the President returned to the White House around 1:20, he entered the Oval Office and was told again about the onset of violence at the Capitol. From that point until approximately 4 p.m., over the next 2 hours and 40 minutes, the President stayed in the White House dining room, attached to the Oval Office, and watched this unprecedented assault take place at the Capitol. We have testimony from several members of the President's White House staff establishing that President Trump refused entreaties from his closest advisors and family members to tell his supporters to stand down and leave the Capitol. Here's the testimony of President Trump's White House counsel, Pat Simone.
I think about my conversation with the president, but I can generically say that I said, people need to be told, there needs to be a public announcement fast that they need to leave.
P. Frost, the answer to your question of why they're focusing on this, why they're obsessed with this and not focusing on fixing the economy, is that we won't have an economy left in 2024 when Trump and his supporters try to steal the presidential election and have violence on a mass scale across the country, which is what they're planning. So, yeah, if you care about the economy, then you should care about the fact that we are going to have a violent revolution happening in this country in 2 years. So, and I truly believe that. So, yeah, you should be caring about the economy. Also, the survival of our democracy kind of matters. So, I think it's okay for us to multitask and worry about the economy and also worry about literally the survival of America's democracy. Because last time I checked, Republicans and conservatives used to care about that kind of stuff. I was a Republican. I don't think it's extreme at all. That is literally what we're looking at happening in 2024. I'm expecting massive violence from the Republicans and an attempt to steal the election, which I think will lead to mass violence if they pull it off. Because if you literally steal the election, if you literally go to the Congress, if you literally have states refuse to certify Democratic victors, and they say, oh, the Republican actually won the presidency when he didn't, you're going to see an uprising in this country that is going to sink the economy and sink our democracy. So, yeah, it matters.
You heard him, Pat. He doesn't want to do anymore. He doesn't think you're doing anything wrong.
Former White House employee with national security duties similarly recalled an exchange between Mr. Simone and Eric Hirschman about President Trump's inaction against the mob assault underway at the Capitol.
I was wondering the same thing, Syndicate. Exactly. Disagree politely, and I'm all yours. Depends. If you're talking about the insurrection, yes, the insurrection is Trump's fault. And Republicans overall, who were sort of the fringe of Republicans that Trump enabled, but not everything. No. The insurrection, yes. But everything? No. Everything isn't the Republicans' fault.
All of them made appeals to Donald Trump, which he rejected and he ignored. The select committee interviewed several people who were in the dining room with Donald Trump that afternoon, and every single one of these witnesses told us that he was watching the violent battles rage on television. He did not call his Secretary of Defense, or the National Guard, the Chief of the Capitol Police, or the Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department.
And to your knowledge, was the president in that private dining room the whole time that the attack on the Capitol was going on? Or did he ever go, again, to your knowledge, to the Oval Office, to the White House Situation Room, anywhere else?
That's my recollection. He's always in the dining room.
Yeah, what is it? At all during that brief encounter that you were, what do you think? Watch the TV.
You know, he was watching TV in the dining room.
Sasha, stop. Stop.
It's my understanding he was watching television.
Stop it. Hey, no. We're not going today. No. It's a rainy day. You're out of luck. Out of luck. Stop. Stop.
The president watched the bloody attack unfold on Fox News from his dining room. Members of Congress and other government officials stepped into the gigantic leadership void created by the president's chilling and steady passivity that day. What you're about to see is previously unseen footage of congressional leaders, both Republicans and Democrats, as they were taken to a secure location during the riot. You'll see how everyone involved was working actively to stop the violence, to get federal law enforcement deployed to the scene, to put down the violence and secure the Capitol complex. Not just Democrats like Speaker Nancy Pelosi and House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, but Republicans like Vice President Pence, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Majority Whip John Thune, and countless other appointees across the administration. All of them did what President Trump was not doing, what he simply refused to do. Take a listen.
door has been breached and people are gaining access into the Capitol.
We have got to get finish the proceedings, or else it will not become restricted. There has to be some way we can maintain the sense
Oh.
that people have, that there's some security or some confidence that government can function and that we can elect the president of the United States. Did we go back into session?
We did go back into session, but now apparently everybody on the floor is putting on their gas masks to prepare for a breach. I'm trying to get more information.
They're putting on their tear gas masks.
This is amazing footage. They're showing Pelosi and the congressional leaders when they were rushed to a secure location, getting briefed on what's going on.
We have some senators who are still in their highways. They need massive personnel now. Can you get the Maryland National Guard to come too?
I have something to say, Mr. Secretary. Well, I'm going to call the mayor of Washington, D.C. right now and see what other outreach he has, other police departments that stand, your lawyer has mentioned.
Wow. Quiet.
I don't know if you have been approached about the
Stop it.
Virginia National Guard, the lawyer was speaking to Governor Hogan, but I still think we need the okay of the federal government to come into another jurisdiction. Thank you.
Absolutely outrageous that Nancy Pelosi had to be on the phone with the governors of Virginia and Maryland, Republican and Democrat, to try to get them to send the National Guard to rescue members of Congress. And Donald Trump was sitting on his butt, not doing a damn thing. And anybody who defends this stuff, this is outrageous. And they have the nerve to criticize Pelosi and blame her for this. We've got video of Pelosi on the phone trying to get the National Guard to show up when it's Donald Trump's freaking duty to get the DC National Guard to show up. Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. And members of Congress are trapped in their hideaways. The hideaways are the secret offices that members of Congress have in the Capitol building itself. My boss had one. I've been in it. Others do. And basically, they're lucky these idiots didn't realize how many members of Congress were literally behind all those locked doors.
Quite frankly, much of it at the instigation of the President of the United States. If he could at least somewhat.
Yeah, why don't you get the president to tell them to leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General?
Yeah.
Your law enforcement responsibility. A public statement they should all leave.
Man. You can watch it on CNN, on MSNBC. You can pull up C-SPAN on your TV, C-SPAN on the internet. All the news services will have it on the internet. So yeah, it wasn't Pelosi's responsibility to stop Trump supporters from attacking the Capitol and violently overthrow the government while attempting to assassinate the vice president. You people are absolutely, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Totally un-American. Who's she talking to now? Wait, what would you? Jeez. All right, because Barr was gone at that point. Right. Unbelievable, this stuff. Jeez. Quiet.
Overriding wish is to do it at the Capitol. What we are being told very directly is it's gonna take days at the Capitol to be okay again. We've gotten a really bad report about the condition of the House floor, defecation and all that kind of thing as well. I don't think that that's hard to clean up, but I do think it is, from a security standpoint of making sure that everybody is out of the building and how long will that take? I just got off the vice president.
I got off with the vice president-elect.
Is that on?
We let the conversation.
Gotta be. Yeah.
Sneakers.
We're live.
It's
Be good.
sneakers.
Well, she could have switched to sneakers though. You know, because you clearly, I would have kept sneakers there. She could have been in her office or something. You know, then I'm gonna forget. I get sneakers.
Take days to get back.
So in the Capitol building, you're literally dealing with the police of the U.S. National Police. He just informed me what you will hear through visual channels, smaller, big construction and ours. Will inform you that their best information is that they believe that the House and the Senate will be able to be roughly in
That's
balance.
amazing good news. But how they got from days to hours. You know, that's the thing. Stop. That's wild. Absolutely wild. Who is she to make rules? I'm pretty sure Cindy's one of the moderators. Who is she to make rules? That's who she is to make rules. No, that was new today. The behind the scenes footage today was new. No one has seen it before. No, and it speaks volumes of Pelosi that she spent the day trying to get the National Guard, the police, the Pentagon to do something to help, and they didn't. Well, not the police, but the National Guard and the Pentagon did nothing, and the White House did nothing, and the Attorney General did nothing. All Trump's people. Absolutely disgusting. I agree with you, username. Sorry, David. Michael posted on Twitter, on TikTok. You should switch to Fox so we can get Russia's side of the story. Some guy on TikTok. It was very funny. Oh man. Kiki, it's because they're sexist pigs.
In the midst of this violent chaos, Kevin McCarthy implored
They absolutely wanted them murdered. Absolutely. They set up a gallows for Mike Pence, the hangman's thing for him. No, they would have physically hurt Mike Pence. They would have absolutely killed Pelosi. Had they found Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Ilhan Omar, they'd be lucky if they survived. They would have certainly injured them. Punches and everything else, absolutely. And Pence, God knows what they would have done to Pence. I mean, Trump was tweeting out during the insurrection. Trump was tweeting out attacks on Pence. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a conversation at some point, day or week after
moderators on TikTok, feel free to just block any of the crazies you want. They're kind of getting a little out of control and they're annoying me. Anybody disagreeing is fine. Anybody being an ass, you can tell who's being an ass. If they're being an ass, knock them out.
I had the conversation similar to that with Kevin in the days and week after Live.
Well, Mishmash, tell us how BLM tried to overthrow the government. They didn't. I criticized the violence that BLM had. They didn't overthrow the government. They didn't try. Second of all, good luck finding any senior Democrats who defend this BLM violence. The entire Republican Party defends this. The entire Republican Party leadership defends Trump on this. Trump defends the violence. Trump said he wants to pardon them all if he gets reelected. So that's the difference with BLM. I consider BLM, the violence, fringe and outrageous. Thank you, Kelly, for that gift. Fringe and outrageous what BLM did. The violence they did nationwide, the crap that Antifa did in Portland and Seattle was ridiculous. The crap they did taking over those downtown neighborhoods. The mayors should have come in and arrested them all, as far as I'm concerned. But guess what? The head of the Democratic Party doesn't endorse that crap. The head of your party does. That's the difference. Every BLM person who they found was absolutely arrested and charged. But also, I don't see anybody. I don't defend BLM. I think BLM, they should all have been thrown in jail if the people who did that. Where's your say the same? Dare you to say the same thing? Anybody who's attacking BLM, dare you to say the same thing about Trump? I'm happy to criticize BLM. Happy to criticize BLM.
This deliberate decision to further enrage the mob against Vice President Pence cannot be justified by anything that President
Trump did offer to pardon them all. He did. A month or two ago, maybe 2 months ago, Trump said, if I come back in, I'm really thinking of maybe pardoning you all. He couldn't even commit to it. And Trump had 2 weeks as president after the January 6th insurrection. 2 freaking weeks as president that he could have pardoned everybody. He didn't. Hi, it's Liz Biz. Not sure who you are, but hello. I can't see who you are here. But I have been around.
just tweeted about Pence. Probably not going to be good for Pence. Another agent reported the dramatic impact of Trump's anti-Pence tweet on his followers. POTUS said he lacked courage. Over 24,000 likes in under 2 minutes. Employees at Twitter were nervously.
Oh, that's interesting, MT.
Were riding at the Capitol and tweeting about it at the same time. As the afternoon progressed, the company detected a surge in violent hashtags on the platform, including lines of.
Oh, I've been here, Liz. I'm here every day. TikTok doesn't always let you know I'm here every day, but I'm here every day. I have a good friend who was in Seattle, and he unfortunately lived in one of the neighborhoods that the protesters took over and made one of their little autonomous zones. It forced him to leave the city. He lives in Toronto now and told me all about it. And I believe this guy implicitly said it was an absolute cluster F. What those guys were doing was horrific. They took over the neighborhood. The cops couldn't even come there. They had their own little vigilante justice. It was absolutely, it was literally terrifying. It wasn't safe to go on the streets because of all the far left protesters. So never going to defend that crap. And I love how the Republicans think I'm going to. It's like, got news for you. And by the way, nobody leading the Democratic Party is ever going to defend that stuff. They never have. They never have. Trump does. Stop, Sasha. Jesus. Hey. 2 cops were shot dead in Connecticut after being lured by a fake 911 call. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Wow.
It spread like wildfire. Pence has betrayed us, and everybody's marching on the Capitol. All million of us. It's insane.
Wow. That's bad. Hey, Pete in London. How are you?
What's that?
Nothing. Saying hi to a guy named Pete in London. Damien goes, what's that?
2:35, within 10 minutes of President Trump's tweet, thousands of rioters overran the line that the Metropolitan Police Force's Civil Disturbance Unit was holding on the west side of the Capitol. This was the first time in the history of the Metropolitan Police Department that a security line like that had ever been broken. President Trump's conduct that day was
Lovely.
so shameful.
Communism in America. I'll be the first to say they're freaks too.
Prior hearings, you've heard Deputy National Security Advisor Matt Pottinger.
Oh, Corso, sorry, it's late in Sweden. Is it? No, it's not that late right now. You mean in the evening? Because right now it's only 3 o'clock here in Washington. So I'm guessing 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in Sweden, maybe? But you mean when I start my show? You're only 6 hours ahead? No way. Are you? Hold on. What time is it in Sweden?
Take a listen to what they had to say.
Oh, you're only 6 hours ahead. I didn't realize that.
Stunned by violence
Hey.
and is stunned by the president's apparent indifference.
Who was this?
Mick Mulvaney.
Oh, interesting. It's interesting, though. Mick Mulvaney, who was, again, top Trump White House aide, head of the Office of Management and Budget, saying he was stunned by Trump's indifference, his testimony before the committee. Ooh, Elaine Chao, Secretary of Transportation, and Mitch McConnell's wife. However they occurred.
Yeah, well, we expect
And at a particular point, the events are such that it was impossible for me to continue, given my personal values
Oh.
and my belongings. I came as an immigrant to this country. I believe in this country. I believe in the people transfer
family or mom.
power. I believe in democracy. And so,
However it occurred. Actually, one thing, Damien, be careful with. I learned this the other day. That chair scratches the table if you turn it all the way. So you can do that, but the back of the chair literally, it doesn't scratch. It pulls it off so you've got white underneath. It's bad. I did it the other day and finally figured it out. So yeah. Oh, thanks, Beto. 2118. Yeah, exactly. I figured it was earlier right now. Hello in Denver. Security always. Oh, this idiot. Yeah, he's in jail for a long time. I forgot if he got 5 years or 7 years. The idiot with the whole thing. The shaman.
Finally, it's 6:01. President Trump tweeted again, not to
A house tour, maybe.
but rather to excuse and glorify it. Significantly, he made it clear that he considered the violence perfectly foreseeable.
Hello, New Orleans.
and predictable. Check it out.
Oh, he's lactose intolerant. Sorry. Oh, Damien, the shaman will not make it that long. Remember, he's lactose intolerant. It was funny.
According to Trump, January 6th should not be a day that lives in shame and infamy.
Hello, Dublin.
Remember this day forever, he wrote proudly, as if he were talking about D-Day or the Battle of Overturn. Trump did nothing to stop the deadly violence for obvious reasons. He thought it was all justified, he incited it, and he supported it.
Would it have been possible at any moment for the president to walk down to the podium and briefing and the nation anytime between the first game of the 2 o'clock and 4:17 when the video statement? Would that be possible? Yes.
The president had wanted to make a statement and address the American people. He could have been on camera almost instantly. And
What's the SCOTUS news today?
Press corps has offices that are located directly behind the briefing room. And so if he had wanted to make an address from the Oval Office, he could have assembled the White House press corps probably in a matter of minutes to get them into the Oval for him to do an on-camera address.
Chairman, nothing in law or fact could justify the president's failure to act.
And I assume you also would agree the president has a particular obligation to faithfully execute.
That is one of the president's obligations, correct?
Mr. Chairman, in numerous places, our Constitution strongly opposes insurrection and rebellion. Article 1 gives Congress the power to call forth the militia to suppress
Good. Oh, Damien. Supreme Court rejects former President Donald Trump's request to intervene in Mar-a-Lago documents fight. Ooh. Nice. Nice. Supreme Court on Thursday rejected an emergency request from former President Donald Trump to intervene in the dispute over classified documents seized from his Mar-a-Lago estate in August. Trump had asked the justices to reverse a federal appeals court and allow a special master to review about 100 documents marked classified, a move that could have opened the door for his legal team to review the records and argue that they should be off limits to prosecutors in a criminal case. But in a brief order, the court denied the request. There were no noted dissents. For now, the documents will stay out of the reach of the special master. The court's decision steers the court away from the political fray. Good. Good. Well, I mean, it's good because it would have just slowed things down. Good. Supreme Court refused to hear Donald Trump's appeal on the Mar-a-Lago document case. They were trying to get the special master to be able to review the classified documents, which is ridiculous. That's on CNN, but just Google it. Just Google Supreme Court. In Google News, Google Supreme Court under the news section. It'll come up. It doesn't mean the special master is removed, but it means the special master is not going to be able to review the classified documents. And the court is also implicitly agreeing that the documents are real, the documents are classified, and no one has a right to look at them other than people with security clearances close to the level of God. Because Trump kept saying, which was ridiculous, well, it says they're classified, but how do you know if they're classified? And the court saying, because it says classified, and the agencies say they're classified, it means they're classified.
And replace the will of voters with his will to remain in power. He is the one person at the center of the story of what happened on January 6th. So we want to hear from him. The committee needs to do everything in our power to tell the most complete story possible and provide recommendations to help ensure nothing like January 6th ever happened.
Oh, this sounds like a closing.
We need to be fair and thorough and gain a full context for the evidence we've obtained. But the need for
I think he's closing.
from Donald Trump goes beyond our fact finding.
This sounds like closing.
Question about accountability to the American people. Must be accountable. He is required to answer for his.
Oh, they haven't had the vote yet. Right.
He is required to answer to those police officers who put their lives and bodies on the line to defend our democracy. He's required to answer to those millions of Americans whose votes he wanted to throw out as part of his scheme to remain in power. And whatever is underway to ensure this accountability under law, this committee will demand a full accounting to every American person of the events of January 6th. So it is our obligation to seek Donald Trump's testimony. There's precedent in American history for Congress to compel the testimony of a president. There's also precedent for presidents to provide testimony and documentary evidence to congressional investigators. We also recognize that a subpoena to a former president is a serious and extraordinary action. That's why we want to take this step in full view of the American people, especially because the subject matter at issue is so important to the American people, and the stakes are so high for our future and our democracy. And so, I recognize the Vice Chair, Ms. Cheney of Wyoming, offer a motion.
Ha.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to today's notice, I send to the desk a committee resolution and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
Committee Resolution 1, resolved that the chairman be and is hereby directed to subpoena Donald J. Trump for documents and testimony in connection with the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol pursuant to Section 5C4 of House Resolution 503 and Clause 2M of Rule 11 of the Rules of the House of Representatives.
The gentlewoman from Wyoming is recognized on her resolution.
Thank you, Mr.
Well, this will be
Chairman.
interesting.
Mr. Chairman, our committee now has sufficient information to answer many of the critical questions posed by Congress at the outset. We have sufficient information to consider criminal referrals from multiple individuals and to recommend a range of legislative proposals to guard against another January 6th. But a key task remains. We must seek the testimony under oath of January 6th central player. More than 30 witnesses in our investigation have invoked their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And several of those did so specifically in response to questions about their dealings with Donald Trump directly. Here are a few examples. This is Roger Stone with Oath Keepers at the Willard Hotel on the morning of January 6th. And here is Mr. Stone testifying before our committee.
Did you speak to President Trump on his private cell phone on either January 5th or January 6th?
Once again, I advise the council, I will assert my Fifth Amendment right to respectfully decline to answer your question.
UFOs aren't a
This
conspiracy.
is General Michael Flynn walking with Oath Keepers on December 12th, 2020. And here is General Flynn's testimony before the committee.
Oh yeah, General Flynn. That man
Talk to President Trump
needs to be called up and court-martialed.
point on January 6th, 2021.
The fifth.
Here is John Eastman fraudulently instructing tens of thousands of angry protesters.
The microwave doesn't usually
that the
talk.
president could change the election outcome on January 6th.
I'll be here all
Later
week.
on the same day, Dr. Eastman acknowledged in writing that Donald Trump knew what he was attempting was illegal. Here is John Eastman testifying before our committee.
President Trump authorized you to discuss
Ooh.
publicly your January 4th, 2021 conversation with him. Fifth. So to your position, you can discuss an immediate direct conversation you had with the President of the United States, but you will not discuss those same conversations with this committee.
Here is Jeff Clark, who conspired with Donald Trump to corrupt the Department of Justice. President Trump wanted to appoint Jeff Clark as acting attorney general.
Correct. The committee can refer, suggest charges to the Justice Department, but they're the ones that have to actually charge, etc.
And here is Mr. Clark
But
testifying.
there is a moral suasion argument. In other words, the committee has visibility, so referring charges has an impact. The question is whether the committee will refer public charges or private. Will they say publicly who they think has committed a crime?
Other witnesses
Because that would put pressure on the Justice Department
avoid testifying about their dealings with Donald
to take
Trump.
it seriously, at least.
Steve Bannon has been tried and convicted by a jury of his peers for contempt of Congress. He is scheduled to be sentenced for this crime later this month. Criminal proceedings regarding Peter will continue. And Mark Meadows, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, has refused to testify based upon executive privilege. The committee's litigation with him continues. Mr. Chairman, at some point, the Department of Justice may well
Mhm.
unearth facts
Right.
that these
Venezuela's going after conservatives?
are currently concealed.
That's new to me.
But our duty today is to our country and our children and our Constitution. We are obligated to seek answers directly from the man who set this all in motion. And every American is entitled to.
Actually, the
those
committee,
answers. So we
Sharon,
act now
has been
to
quoting
protect
Republicans all day. So, and Republican Trump supporters. So if they're a joke, then all of Trump's top White House staffers and top people in his administration are also a joke. So you're saying all of them? are wrong and all of them are in a big conspiracy against Trump, Trump's top White House staff and Trump's top political appointees?
January 6th attack
Or
on the United States Capitol.
you're lying
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
and you know you're lying.
Young lady,
Bye.
if there's no further debate, the question is on agreeing to the resolution. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed.
The other thing is subpoenaing Trump creates a big news story, which also then helps the story get out there more of all their conclusions.
Ms. Cheney.
Aye.
Ms. Cheney, aye.
This is the B-roll. This is the role for TV now. You know?
Mr. Schiff. Aye. Mr. Schiff, aye. Mr. Aguilar. Aye. Mr. Aguilar. Mrs. Murphy.
Aye.
Mrs. Murphy, aye.
Aye, Mrs. Murphy.
Aye. Mr. Raskin, aye. Mrs. Luria.
Aye.
Mrs. Luria, aye. Mr. Kinzinger. Kinzinger, aye. Mr. Kinzinger, aye.
Kinzinger, aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, aye.
The clerk will report the vote.
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, there are 9 ayes, 0 noes.
The resolution is agreed to. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The chair requests that those in the hearing room remain seated until the Capitol Police have escorted.
Oh, there you go.
members of the room.
That'll help make news.
Committed
That does help. That does help it make it news. You know? Oh, see what they actually, I'm kind of curious to see what the take is. No, the subpoena makes this a bigger news story, even though, you know, Trump won't show up. It just makes it a bigger news story. He won't even show up. He won't have to plead the fifth, but it still makes it much more historic. I mean, I don't even know if a president has ever been subpoenaed. Any of you history experts, you should know this. Dave, I remember, I always tell them, I said, Damien, who knows arcane facts about all history. Any of you out there? See if you can beat Damien on this. You know, whether any president. Who? Oh, that's interesting. Was Bill Clinton ever subpoenaed?
He did testify.
To the not to the House, did he? That's the thing. This is also meant to give Trump a stroke. Yeah. Because again, he's not going to be able to control himself, and every time he speaks, he's feeding the legal case against him. Shh, stop. Okay, criminal referrals, plural. Okay. But subpoena isn't, I mean, the subpoena potentially can be enforced, but the problem is you got to go to court to do it. So, you know, all Trump has to do is drag this out in principle. They're saying, hi, Damien. All Trump has to do is, yeah, there's David. All Trump has to do is drag this out until early January when Congress may flip. You know, and if Congress, if the House switches and becomes Republican, then the committee disappears and the subpoena disappears. So he just has to drag it out.
3 presidents.
3 presidents.
Jefferson, Nixon, and Clinton.
Jefferson, Nixon, and Clinton were all subpoenaed by Congress. There you go. Oh, Sasha wants more water. That's interesting.
The vote to subpoena the man that they over and over have argued.
Oh, God, that's a lot of water,
testimony
Sasha.
and evidence was the reason for the incident.
Interesting.
Reason
Okay.
for the attack on the
I mean,
Capitol.
Nixon and Clinton being recent makes it a little less newsworthy, so to speak, but it doesn't matter. Trump getting subpoenaed is newsworthy. You know, it makes it newsworthy.
Jefferson was subpoenaed in the trial of his vice president,
Jefferson, who was that?
Aaron Burr.
Burr, that's what I thought.
Accused of committing treason by planning a military invasion of Mexico.
Oh, I didn't even remember that. Jefferson was subpoenaed in the trial of his vice president, Aaron Burr, who was accused of treason for allegedly plotting an invasion of Mexico. Was he plotting an invasion of Mexico?
I'm assuming.
So.
Yeah, Jefferson failed to comply with the subpoena and did not appear in court.
Oh,
citing
Jefferson.
physical inability to travel from Richmond.
Oh, funny.
DC.
Oh, funny. Jefferson refused to show up, saying it was impossible for him. It was very difficult to travel from Richmond to DC, which at the time was, how far away is Richmond, Virginia?
It's 80 miles.
It's only 80? 110. Oh,
Yeah, but that would have taken forever.
but back then by horse, yeah. But by horse would have been,
Yeah.
they couldn't zoom.
Plus, you're taking the weather back in those days. There were no roads.
Well, it depends when it was too. If it was, well, 2 hours now, but not by horse, horse and buggy, you know? Yeah. Oh, you're right. The roads, there wouldn't have been roads. There wouldn't have been roads. It could have been winter, depending on the time, or it could have been summer, just as bad, you know, hot and humid. Interesting. Interesting.
And I think one of the most devastating parts of the hearing today, leading to this, it's not unprecedented, but shocking move by Congress, bold move by Congress, by the committee to subpoena President Trump for former President Trump.
Jefferson should have Ubered, exactly. We mentioned the SCOTUS decision. Yes. Yes. Sasha, you're done. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Way more water than you need. You're done. Sorry, just watching what the analysis is on TV. Stop. Come here. Come here. Come here. Right, come here. That's the thing. Everyone who testified was a Trumper. They were Trump's own appointees, Trump's own top White House staff, everybody. You know, dog's name is Sasha. Ukrainian Sasha, not Russian Sasha. Noted. Yes.
I actually figured it was Greek, Sasha. Is he Greek?
No. Oh no. No. That's Slavic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Serbian maybe, but yeah, not or Polish. I think MAGA is definitely anti-democracy because of Trump. I mean, Trump is anti-democracy, but Trump also doesn't really stand for anything other than Trump. So the idea of being anti-democracy, sure, because he then has absolute power and he can have all the corrupt business deals he wants. I mean, that's, you know, but it's not like Trump has thought it through and said, anti-democratic government is philosophically a much better government than a democratic government. He hasn't really gone that far. Steve Bannon has, but Trump's just, your cat is Ukrainian, Vlad. That's cute. No, Pence did do the right thing. I mean, I don't love Pence at all, but that day he could have still tried to screw around, and he didn't.
He called Dan Quayle.
That's right. He called Dan Quayle for advice, which was actually
said, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, exactly. One of the big unexpected heroes of the day on January 6th, Dan freaking Quayle, which isn't. I mean, nobody likes Dan Quayle. I mean, feel sorry for the guy to a degree, but
yes.
Dan Quayle, I can't stand Dan Quayle. But you know what?
He told him.
Dan Quayle was one of the heroes, believe it or not.
Yeah.
All right, see you, Danny. Amazing. Yeah. Hello, K. Pelletman.
Why can't he answer? Why can't he answer directly? Why can't he answer under oath? And he won't.
Right.
And that's the conflict.
All right, Anderson.
Jake, thanks very much. You saw.
Oh, Anderson Cooper. What's he hosting? I'm guessing he has different. Why did they have Anderson? That's funny. Kind of moving from the political people,
Yeah. Members of Congress were evacuated to while the Capitol was under attack. They played several minutes and obtained the entire, nearly all of the video that was turned over to the committee. They had more than 40 minutes of
That's interesting.
material to choose from. They only played several minutes. I just want to show you about a minute or so of what they played earlier.
They're showing the video again of the members of Congress behind the scenes. I'm impressed that somebody took video for posterity, realizing it was a historic moment. He said it was absolutely horrific what they went through with the whole CHOP thing. He said everyone he knew living there was worried for their lives and their safety. And there was he said, after dark, forget it. Totally dangerous. I think he even said he saw somebody killed on the street out his window. Like horrific, the stuff he saw. Yeah. I'd have to ask him again, but that's what I recall from what we talked several months ago about it. Oh, now she wants you to, yeah. I'm watching CNN, but some of the, well, the problem is during the day, so you're probably not going to, you're only going to get MSNBC and Fox at this point. And Fox might cover it just to try to undercut it. Shh, stop. Oh, there you go. There we go. Oh, Anderson's doing a special on this tonight. So Fox is saying that they were appalled by January 6th, but that their emotions were being manipulated today so close to the midterms, and that the hearing was scheduled for when the inflation numbers were coming out. Oh, God. Hi, what's the matter with you? You know, yeah, whatever. The video was shot by Pelosi's daughter. Oh, that's interesting. Right, because the family members were there, because it was a big day for people to invite their families and everything else. All of them. And Pence had a lot of his family members there. Pence did. Raskin did, because Raskin was after his son killed himself. And Raskin had his daughter there, his son-in-law, like all sorts of people. Pence had his wife, his kids or something were there.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, Fox is saying if the Dems win. Oh, see, Fox. Okay, love this. Fox, who complains that this is simply a manipulative, manipulation for the election to get Democrats to win, says that if Dems win in 3 weeks, they will only push this further, which is Fox's way of weighing in on the election, which is what Fox always does. Of course. I mean, actually, I got to give him credit, though, for Fox. I mean, what a brilliant double whammy for Fox to do, to cover this and say, this is all about, corruptly influencing the election. And by the way, if the Democrats win, you're going to get even more of this. But we're not telling you how to vote. We're news. Oh, God. They're so pathetic. I hope Dominion owns that frickin' thing. So pathetic. They subpoenaed him. Yeah, they subpoenaed him. The thought is that probably there was a car. Someone's asking how many people died when Ukraine. We don't know that Ukraine blew the bridge, for starters. It could have been Russian. It could have been the Ministry of Defense. We don't know. Second of all, looks like a truck went up. Looks like a car went up. So, what we do know is it was at most, actually, I had heard 3 people, but who knows? But we also don't know who did it. And honestly, I think Ukraine did it, but it still could have been the Russians. But, there's collateral damage when you blow up military targets. So if 3 people blew up, if 3 people died destroying a bridge, which is the main Russian supply route for an illegally built bridge, mind you, on Ukrainian territory, to supply Russian troops in Kherson and Zaporizhia and Crimea, it's a legitimate target. I mean, separatists. I don't even think there are separatists in Crimea. I mean, you've got a bunch of Russians who were moved in, and you have, the folks who lived there to start with. Although there were Russians there before too, obviously. Look at Elise up on the Burr conspiracy. Apparently, we never found out what happened with the Burr conspiracy, says Elise. So there you go. Elise says we never did sort of get to the bottom of the details of the Burr conspiracy, the Aaron Burr conspiracy. Aaron Burr.
Oh, the Aaron Burr. Oh,
yeah. So there you go. Well, no, but the conspiracy.
Yeah.
With Mexico and everything else. Hi, you okay? So tonight he's showing the rest of the clip. Okay, so it looks like CNN got. Hold on, my cousin's calling me. Hey. Yeah.
And to see Pelosi calling and Schumer calling
is in the room with her, see, in the room as well. At one point, some of them are with them in the huddle, some of them don't seem as engaged and are probably making phone calls of their own. But you can judge for yourself in the 40 plus minutes of the video that you'll see tonight who's doing what.
What we don't see in these scenes though, which is the striking part, not one of these people was the commander in chief. I mean, just think that we're seeing these video images after having seen the testimony that the president of the United States was alone in a room, the chief of staff flipping through his phone, are people attacking the Capitol? I mean, just the state of dismissive nature compared to the frenetic energy to try to keep people safe. I mean, Pelosi in that conversation, she's calling governors. She's trying to get anyone in the District of Columbia.
She's saying
to help.
somebody, well, imagine this was the Pentagon, imagine this was the White House. As if, you have to remind them, Capitol, the Capitol is with the first.
And that clip of Chris Miller, who was at the Pentagon at the time, didn't really, he wasn't saying, yes, we will help you right away, yes, we're saying this, yes, we're monitoring this. He was kind of speaking in circles, trying to answer her, executing certain things. He didn't have a clear answer, because I didn't have permission necessarily.
And I think you hear some of that frustration in a lot of these phone calls that were played tonight. We'll hear more fully.
I'm just wondering if you could let Anderson, of course, the speaker's daughter, Alexandra, was there and filming this, but my understanding is other family members, including grandchildren, were there. How does that play on the table? What did you get out of that?
Yeah, there is I believe, both her grandchildren were there. There's one image, if my memory serves me correct, of actually one of the grandkids watching out the window of Speaker Pelosi's office as thousands of people are approaching the Capitol. And I believe in one of the shots that was shown in there, you see one of those grandkids in a theater at Fort McNair. So it's obviously, and this was not how they expected the day to go, obviously. Their entire family was there to witness this sort of event. Turned into a very different kind of story.
Are there, and the clips you're gonna show tonight on your show, are we gonna hear more from the responses of people? We didn't hear Colonel's Attorney General. Is Attorney General do something about this?
We'll
Will you hear that?
hear the entire exchange with the acting Attorney General as well as with others. I gotta talk back to Jake in DC.
All right, Anderson, thanks so much. Let's talk more about this new subpoena going to Donald Trump for documents and testimony and the new evidence that Donald Trump had a premeditated plan to declare victory, regardless of the actual election results. We're joined by Olivia Troy, who served as an advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, Sarah Matthews, a former deputy White House press secretary, who testified before the January 6th Select Committee. Sarah, we saw a lot of testimony today, a lot of evidence that Donald Trump, the plan all along, as far back as the summer of 2020 was, well, no matter what happens, Trump's going to go out there and declare victory, one way or another. Had you ever heard anything about that when you were in the White House?
So I don't think I had heard that there was ever a plan for him to declare victory. I wasn't privy to those conversations, but I do think there was a lot of evidence of him, kind of saying that mail-in voting would be fraudulent. That was certainly something that the campaign was pushing and that the White House was pushing in the summer leading up to the election. So I do think that he was building that case come November. If he did lose, that he might have something to point to, because I think he wanted there to be a scapegoat for if he lost.
Yeah, as opposed to him being the president that people didn't want to be in the White House anymore. Olivia, testimony from multiple officials in the White House shows that Trump knew that he lost the election. Take a listen.
So video discussion going on, and the president says, I think it's the equipment pump, but he says words to the effect of, yeah, we need to let that issue go to the next guy, being President Trump.
I remember maybe a week after the election was called, I popped into the Oval just to give the president a headline and see how he was doing. And he was looking at the TV and he said, can you believe I lost to this guy?
Mark raised with me on the 18th. And so following that conversation with the motorcade ride driving back to the White House, I said, because the president really think he lost. And he said, a lot of times he'll tell me that he lost, but he wants to keep fighting it. He thinks that there might be enough to overturn the election, but he pretty much just acknowledged that he's lost.
What do you think?
I think this is a very dangerous scenario that they laid out. Honestly, it brought back some memories to Sarah's point of the previous summer. I had a conversation with someone on my Pence's
regarding, to watch this today, know about the memo that Ray Jacob, Pence's counsel wrote prior to the election, and where they were preparing to say, well, make sure that Pence is careful that he doesn't go along with a victory call by Trump. You gotta be careful with that. And then looking forward at the extent of this, that it goes on, that Trump is fully aware of this. And also, I've got to say that from someone who worked in counterterrorism for so long, the sort of like actions that Trump was trying to take in the immediate after that, knowing that he lost about the withdrawal from Somalia, that is frightening that he was going to take such rash actions. So I think it speaks to what the future of this country would look like if Trump comes back into office, or someone like him, who are of this mentality where they undermine our democracy, they do these types of actions, and the rash sort of action that they can take in response to something like this.
And the committee played the shocking video from inside the Capitol as leaders reacted to the insurrection in real time, including your former boss, Mike Pence. In your view, we heard some of the video. You think Trump abdicated his responsibility? Olivia?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is the entire leadership trying to do everything they can in this moment to figure out how they get through this situation. Mike Pence is, taking ownership of the situation, knowing that there's a person sitting in the Oval Office who is just behaving complete dereliction of duty and doing nothing to stop this situation.
And Sarah, there's this new Secret Service text messages revealed today on the show that a number of agents spotted numerous guns in the crowd the morning of January 6th before Donald Trump was set to speak, which squares with Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony that Trump had been told that a number of people couldn't get in because the magnetometers were keeping them out. That's just shocking and upsetting. We're honestly lucky that more people didn't die that day when you think about it.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think he can try to claim that he was unaware that the people in the crowd were armed, but we're talking about the president of the United States. Of course, they're going to raise something like that to him. And so he can't claim that he didn't know that. And now that we're seeing Secret Service was well aware, that corroborates Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony. And I also think something that was really alarming that was revealed from the Secret Service messages was they were well aware that there could be violence. I think it was up to 10 days in advance leading up to the rally. And so they knew that there could be violence happening. And you would think that they would warn the president of something like that.
Yeah, it's shocking that more was not done given that information. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it. Coming up, we're going to talk live with the January 6th committee member, Congressman Jamie Raskin, Democrat. We're going to replay all of the dramatic video of congressional leaders hold us and military police during the insurrection. Stay with us.
This is Lloyd.
When you see things differently, you can be the difference. Capella University sees education differently. Our FlexPath learning format helps you control the pace and cost of your master's degree. For adults with generalized myasthenia gravis.
Sorry. That was my cousin. Sorry, that was my cousin filling me in on the inflation numbers because I had questions because I was confused. So anyway, sorry, I should have just said goodbye to you all because I am going to wrap up shortly anyway. I think what I will do instead, because I knew this was going to happen. This would be over at 4, and then the next 2 hours I've got to rush to try to get my Ukraine information together and then do another hour of Ukraine. So what I think we'll do instead, at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will go over to my Discord and we will do just a hangout, audio hangout. I'll speak into my microphone, no video, and we'll hang out. We'll talk about the hearings today. I can David, they were all chatting amongst themselves to have you come and entertain them when I was in the other room. Sorry, I didn't know it was going to be that long with Mark. But yeah, 6 o'clock, we'll go to my Discord, 6 p.m. Eastern time, US. That's New York City time. We'll go over to my Discord. That's discord.aravosis.com. And, can we I always forget I will make the event on Discord. Actually, I saw it the other day. I'll do it. If Syndicate's still around, I will try it myself. And then Syndicate, actually, we have to book the event for Saturday. That I did not do. I wasn't sure if that's booked somehow differently. But the event for Saturday for the $25 and up subscribers. So if Syndicate's still there, I still need help doing that. doing it correctly. But yeah, so Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, $25 and up subscribers, if you are around at all. We're going to do the hangout that comes with your subscription, so to speak, your membership. And if you're not around, then I will open it up to all the paid subscribers because I still want to make it, because it was a benefit for paid subscribers. So I want to keep it to that. But in any case, tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time, I will go there. I'll set up the event right now, but 6 p.m. Eastern time, US, New York City time, I will go and we'll hang out on the Discord and chat about what happened today. And then I'll also look at the Ukraine. We'll just kind of look at the Ukraine news as we're talking, because I think that could be a more informal way to look at it. You can get Discord. It's free. Just download the app. And my Discord is discord.aravosis.com. It's kind of confusing at first. I found it a little confusing. What's my Discord is my last name. So Aravosis. So you can find it just with discord.aravosis.com. Here, I will even write it out, although you should be able to just figure it out now that you got my name. Discord.aravosis, of course, .com. There we go. That's what it is. Oh, okay. Discord.gg/Aravosis works too. Fair enough. Right. Yeah, I'm going to do audio on Discord at 6. We'll do that. Okay. So obviously there's going to be a bunch of folks who don't realize, but oh well. Waiting for me to show up somewhere at 6, but I will not be showing up. So yeah, I'll do the Discord and we'll go from there. All right, guys. But I'll go right now and set up a event. So hopefully it notifies people, however that works. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, moderators, thanks a lot, especially on TikTok. Obviously, that was quite the crowd today. People were not very happy, apparently, about the hearings. Oh well. Oh well. C'est la vie. All right, guys, make a video. Oh, that's true. Well, I always worry about doing that on TikTok, though. Like, I don't want to piss TikTok off by saying, hey, TikTokers, I'm going on Discord. Like, I don't know whether that, that causes issues. So I may not do that. Any case, all right, guys, let me go so I can get 2 hours to at least chill. All right. See you all later. YouTube, you guys. Thank you all for joining.